Mr. Parry, you must be exhausted from your earlier travails of the morning. Do I need to talk us through what you did?
No, not at all.
What did you do earlier?
No. First of all, I'd like to make a complaint, please, to you in particular.
Me?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I left here on Friday, what time is it? 4 o'clock.
That's when the show ends.
That's right.
Yeah.
Friday, 4 o'clock. In perfectly good health, and looking forward to a great weekend, walking a bit on the south coast, taking the fresh air and all that kind of stuff. I've now got a cold. Where could I have got a cold from?
Well, you probably got it from travelling on the train.
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I haven't travelled on a train all over the weekend.
Well, when do you think you get a cold, and how long do you think it sort of incubates in your system for? Do you think it's instantaneous?
There was a revolting person on the train last Wednesday. No, there was.
Well,
who was sniffling and coughing. And I turned my back on him and tried to
Was that the guy with the rucksack?
He might have had a rucksack. He looked like a rucksacker to me. And I tried to sort of protect myself from the filthy germs he was breathing out. In a situation like that, it surprises me that the ordinary passenger doesn't have the right to pull the communication cord.
What, and have them ejected? Well,
have the man thrown off the train.
You can't.
Because what he's doing is...
Why don't you just wear a mask? A lot of people would be very grateful for that.
You should wear a mask.
In fact, some people have said they wish you'd worn a mask this morning when you were on Sky.
Well, we'll get round to that in a minute, thank you. Your envy and your malice and your wherewithal bitterness towards the flourishing of my career is so obvious to everybody.
The flourishing of your career.
Anyway, listen. So if you think about it, if you pull the communication cord and then stop at the next station, get the guy off.
Do they still have a communication cord?
Well, it's the same sort of thing. I think you smash the glass with your elbow or something, don't you?
I don't think they actually have a cord anymore.
No, I think there's a chain inside the window.
I think, is it not something that you just switch?
No, I think it's something on that. Anyway, point of my story is that would have saved maybe 40 people from now suffering the symptoms I'm suffering, if that's where I got it from. But...
Well, you may have done.
I believe the incubation period is 36 hours, so that would have taken me to Friday lunchtime.
It could be as long as 2 weeks.
By Friday lunchtime...
It could be as long as 2 weeks.
Anyway, I mean, the point I want to put to
it's not very healthy.
To our millions of listeners is this. You could stand outside in minus 10 temperatures and spray yourself with a hose of freezing water for 1 hour and you still wouldn't get a cold, because that's not where you get colds from.
Well, a cold is nothing to do with actually being cold, necessarily.
Cold's a virus. Yeah. Cold's a virus, that's what I'm telling you. So
you may have picked it up in the restaurant, for all you know. There may have been somebody in the restaurant that had a virus.
No, I don't go into virus-ridden restaurants, honestly, don't worry about that.
Well, we were in a restaurant on Friday night.
We were, yes, but it's a very nice restaurant.
Remember who else was in there?
Ian McKellen.
That's right.
He's the actor, isn't he?
He certainly is an actor.
Now, what was the last famous thing he was in?
Well, he does all the Lord of the Rings films.
Lord of the Rings and all that, yeah, he's brilliant.
My kids told me he's also appeared in a couple of Harry Potters as well.
Harry Potters and all that kind of stuff. Now, here, let me tell you exactly what my thinking was, okay?
What was it?
Well, he was about 3 tables away, wasn't he? And I thought, no, in the world am I going to, bother a giant of the stage like that, stage and screen.
He was thinking exactly the same thing about you.
He probably was, yeah. But I sort of thought about this later. Then on Saturday morning, that's the morning after, I don't know why, but the Times newspaper is still taking out extracts from the Sunday Times rich list that they published 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And they published his wealth. He's worth 43 million quid, according to them.
Who, Ian McKellen is?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So I wish I had gone over.
Why? Would you have asked him for some money?
No, but I'd have tried to get him interested in investing in my next great project, which is a business opportunity. Well, it is, yeah.
What is your next great project?
I'll tell you about it at some stage.
You haven't mentioned it to me yet.
I'll tell you about it at some stage.
It's more successful than your internet TV station.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
How did that go?
Sorry?
Bankrupted, was it?
No.
You sure?
No, it's we decided to realign it, that's all.
No, okay.
Now then, what I want to say to you was...
Go on.
Why are you taking the mickey out of me because I made an appearance on what I can only describe as a global news station this morning?
Well, how long were you on for, first of all?
Oh,
you can say in minutes if you wish.
No.
Per fractions of an hour?
No, from the time I entered the studio complex.
How long were you on screen for?
From the time I entered the studio complex to the time I left the the building.
Yeah.
Oh, I would say an hour, something like that.
So you were there for an hour?
Oh, yes.
How long were you on screen for?
Well, I think from the time that I got into makeup.
Yeah.
And by the way,
were you wearing makeup?
Advice. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I had a bit of makeup.
You look horrendous.
What do you mean?
People said you looked like you
just
literally walked in off the street. You had a blue shirt which was buttoned halfway down your torso.
No.
Your hair was all over the place.
No.
Was that after they dealt with you? What did you look like when you arrived?
No, I think you have to understand, Mike, that if you work in television, you need to know about colour coordination in your clothes. Uh-huh. Otherwise, you can pixelate the camera, which is not a good thing to do,
see,
okay?
Right. And what were you talking about? What was the moment of expertise?
I was talking about what the position regarding Leicester. How magnificent is it? What they wanted, really, you see, was not a great sort of football writer, not a great guy who had huge experience of going to football matches. They wanted a wordsmith to explain the magnificence of what's happened.
Couldn't get one.
And I'm just going to ignore that cheap jibe. And that is exactly...
Well, all I'm reacting to... I didn't watch it, of course, because I had better things to do.
Oh, really?
But, I mean, all I'm reacting to is the coverage of it on Twitter.
What were the better things you had to do?
I was washing my hair.
Collect the bottles from your weekend bladderation session.
I was washing my hair.
Yeah.
I couldn't be bothered. I spend 5 days a week with you. I don't want to watch you on television before we get in. But people were saying things like, here's one from Iron Lion.
Yes.
Porky looks like an old woman with a beard.
What?
Feminine, round-faced plank. Other people were saying...
everybody's got a round face, you fool.
Yeah, well, yours is more round than other. Here's another one from Brian. He says, why didn't Sky News give Porky a booster seat so he could see over the desk?
That's very funny, yeah.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of praise coming in, it has to be said.
I'm very average height.
Steve says it looked like you had a wig on.
5'8" and 3/4. Of course I didn't have a wig on. I mean, honestly...
Brian, other people have been saying, it's cruel to everyone to put Porky on TV before the watershed. One guy says his 5-year-old still in
would
tears.
you like me to read out...
My 5-year-old can't stop crying.
Would you like me to read out nearly 200 or 300, 400, depends on what time I look at my information device, contribute, praiseworthy?
Why don't you just read out one or two?
What?
Why don't you just read out one or two?
There's so many of them. There's so many of them.
Give us one, then.
There's one funny one here. It says, Sky News... New report. The sacked makeup artist and hairdresser who dealt with Porky this morning have won their unfair dismissal case. That's a bit harsh,
Is that the best one you could find?
No, it's not the best one I find, but it's the funniest one I could find.
Now, anyway, we've got lots to talk about
we
because we've got Darren Lewis coming on. Jamie Vardy, of course, won the PFA Player of the Year award.
Yeah, brilliant.
You voted for him.
I did vote for him.
Although you told me 2 weeks ago that you were kind of humming and hawing because you weren't sure you were going to vote for him. You might have voted for somebody else.
No, to be honest, I must have given the wrong impression. I always said I would vote for Jamie Vardy. And, the way the boy has come to the absolute pinnacle of Premier League football from such humble beginnings, Fleetwood Town, which is near Morecambe, and Blackpool on the northwest Fylde coast, then I have to just say that I think he's been magnificent, and I was never going to opt for anybody else.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're happy to be in the majority on this one? Oh,
yeah, very happy. But I think. Although, you say happy to be in the majority, I'm not
you normally like to stand out, don't you?
No. I'm not a bandwagon jumper here.
Well, it looks like it.
I made it clear months ago, when I met a couple of friends from, the ultra-professional football writing.
Why are you in that, anyway?
Eh?
Why are you even in the PFA?
Well, I'm in the PFA.
Yeah.
Well, it's called the Football Writers Association.
Football Writers Association.
Yeah, FWA.
Yeah, why are you even in it?
Because I'm a distinguished...
When was the last time you wrote anything about football?
I think you're a bit behind there, Mike. We don't write these days. We speak. And
but why are you not in the Professional Speakers Association?
No, distinguished members of the media now, of the football media, are sometimes invited to join. When did you turn your invitation down, by the way?
I've never been involved in it.
You've never been invited?
Because I don't write about football.
No.
I've never read about football.
No, you don't have to write about football. You have to just, have something sensible to say about it.
Is that right?
Yeah. I've been a member...
Well, why is it called the Writers Association, then?
Well, because historically
I'm going to ask Darren Lewis, because he'll know, won't he?
Historically, it always was. It goes right the way back. I think it was formed in 1948, and I think Stanley Matthews was the first winner of it.
Stanley Matthews?
Stanley Matthews, yeah. Goes back
but in
a
those
long
days
way.
it was put together by all the people that wrote.
Yeah, well, they don't... Yeah, but obviously the world's developed. You've now got people who write, you've got people who speak on radio, you've got people who are visually on television, you've got people who write blogs, they write on the internet.
So you get in it for writing a blog?
Website. Well, I don't know if you're invited in. Only the best are invited in, you see. That's why Darren Lewis is a member. That's why I'm a member.
Well, he's a football writer.
That's why
Darren Lewis is a football
writer.
writer.
The closest you'd ever get, mate, to the Football Writers Association is serving me my sirloin steak on the night of the FWA, the Football Writers Association annual dinner, which is always on the Thursday before the FA Cup final.
OK, are you going?
No. Now, listen, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, go on.
I want to, once again, re-endorse my credentials as the man of the people, OK?
Re-endorse your credentials?
Yes.
As the man of the people with the £43,000 merch?
No, never mind that. Now, listen, have you ever eaten at the Ritz?
I don't believe I've ever eaten a proper meal there. I've had tea there.
No, I've eaten at the Ritz. And
it's not really a man of the people location.
Well, hang on, I'm about to tell you something about this, right? Now, on one occasion, I took a young lady there, it's very impressive, obviously, because it's very, very posh.
Was this before called decimalisation.
No, you idiots. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, how long ago was it?
Well, it was a couple of years back. But anyway, that's not the point of the story. Point of the story is, we had a very nice meal there, and they do, in fact, serve fish and chips, right? Can you believe that? Yeah.
Fish and chips.
Sorry, have the teacups around here got holes in them?
There's a shortage of water.
Yeah.
I'm just conserving water at the moment.
Mr. Graham's just had a cup of tea during that break there, and it was a third of a cup of tea. I'm not quite sure why. It must be rationing on the tea bags.
Well, we don't complain about that sort of thing, especially you, because you're a man of the people.
Exactly. Now, look, what I'm saying is this. You won't believe this, but it was a very, very fine place to go. And what I've read this morning is the hotel is being severely criticised because somebody spotted one of the porters round the back of the hotel bringing in boxes of McCain chips.
Oh, yeah. Now, the frozen variety.
Yes, that's right, yeah. Now, I don't understand that.
Why is that a problem?
I don't know. I've no idea. But they're saying that this is disgraceful. 5-star Ritz hotel accused of serving budget frozen chips to punters forking out £6 a portion.
I suppose if you're are you sure it's £6? What, £6 just for the chips?
Yeah, in the Ritz.
How much does fish and chips in the Ritz cost?
About
probably 20 something, isn't it?
No, it's near 30. I think. But I mean, I don't know. They might ring up now and say no, it's not. It's 27. Well,
I can easily check the menu. But I think if there is a very, very expensive levy being put on the chips, they should probably cook them themselves. Because if you go to somebody's, what you would call sort of, celebrity chefs restaurants like Gordon Ramsay's places or Jamie Oliver's, they do their chips in a particular way.
How do you know that?
Like they deep fry them, say 3 times, or they bake them first and then they fry them again. Yeah, because you can tell by looking at them they're not McCain chips.
Right, now they had a complaint from TripAdvisor. What's that?
TripAdvisor is a website where people basically write personal reviews of places where they've been.
Right.
TripAdvisor's now become quite an important thing.
Well, I'm sure it has, because it says pasty finger-sized chips. And this is because the hotel was serving up the budget version, and somebody's provided a picture of these. Now, I don't agree with you here, and do you know why?
You don't agree with me about what?
I don't agree with you about saying, they should individually do their chips. I don't agree with that.
What I'm saying is they should if they're going to charge an awful lot of money for them. If you're going to give somebody some McCain chips, I don't have a problem with McCain chips. I think they're perfectly good chips.
Neither do I think they're great.
But if you're going to buy in, the equivalent of a serving for 50p a pop, and you're going to sell it for 15 quid, then that's really taking the mickey.
No, you're not paying for the chips on your plate. You're paying for the surrounding in which you eat them.
Well,
that's what it's all about.
If you go to a restaurant which is purporting to be an expensive restaurant charging £30 per main course, then you should expect the stuff to be cooked. They're not just bring a kebab in a rolled bit of paper.
No, of course not.
The surroundings are so lovely, we're going to charge you £48 for a lamb kebab.
No, you see, you don't understand. The thinking is this, that, you see, McCain's, sell millions of chips all around the world, and the standards they apply to their chips have to be incredibly high, because just one bad chip and it would ruin their name.
Yeah, that's not. My issue is not with the chips. My issue is with the price.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. Whereas if a top hotel provides a plate of chips and one of them's dodgy, well, they just get away with it. They just find them another chip or another load of chips and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I see nothing wrong with eating McCain chips whatsoever. I think they're great. I think they're tested all the time. They're brilliant. And what you're paying for are two things. A, the surroundings in which you eat your chips, OK? But secondly,
I get that.
But secondly, and this is much more important to me, prohibitive prices to keep, people of a lower life existence than you out of the place where you want to eat your chips.
There you go. A Rivoli burger in the Rivoli bar.
Right.
27 quid.
27.
Doesn't say if you get chips. Oh, it serves with French fries.
With French fries. Well, there you go. What's wrong with that? That seems to me to be OK.
Well, it's all right if they're cooking it, but it's not all right if they're shipping it in from the next door fish and chip shop.
No, they're not shipping them in. I mean, would you want to go somewhere where the surroundings were good, but the food was so cheap that people that were of a different social class to you were mingling with you?
I don't care who mingles with me. I'm not a snob like you. I don't care who mingles with me.
I'm not a
snob. We're going to talk to Jay Rayner, who's a critic of these things, coming up very shortly, so you can ask him.
A critic of what?
A critic of food.
Critic of food? I'm not criticising the food. I'm actually bigging the food up.
You're talking about the food. So I bet you any money he will share my view on this. Because you are a Philistine when it comes to food.
£32.
And you're a snob when it comes to going to places where you think are great just because you're paying more money through the nose for it. Yeah. Ridiculous situation. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mites. Let's go back to Elliot Cook, who's watching Brighton. Yeah. Elliot, what's going on?
It's Brighton 0, Derby 0, but Brighton coming close to opening the scorer. A free kick 5 yards outside the area, beautifully curled with whip over the wall by Anthony Knockaert, but excellent defending by Jason Shackel. He somehow was backpedaling and managed to flick the ball over the crossbar with his head when the ball looked destined for the top corner. It's Brighton 0, Derby 0.
Elliot Cook there reporting into Talk Sport from the Amex. Lots going on. Coming up in the next hour, of course, it's winners and losers. I hope you've managed to prepare properly for that, have you, over the course of the weekend? Because you seem to be very, very busy. Let's talk to Jay Rayner now, though. He's the Observer's food critic, because we were talking just before there about the cost of things.
Yes.
I can't find how much chips cost at the Ritz, but what I can tell you is if you wanted to go there for breakfast and you wanted to have something like grilled kippers, it's £37.
Well, you see, that's because
it's the Ritz. If you wanted to have scrambled eggs and smoked salmon with a few chives on the top, £40.
But that's the Ritz. I mean, that's, you know...
Yeah, but it's not any better than any number of other places. You get it for half the price.
They don't drag them in off the street and say, you'll eat here, and by the way, we'll take that credit card out of your pocket and charge you for it. People choose to go there. That's what they expect.
Yeah, but they've got more money than sense, in my view. Let's talk to Mr. Rayner and see what he thinks of it all. Jay, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us.
Afternoon. Are we talking stupid prices at the Ritz?
We are talking stupid prices at the Ritz. Well, Mike was telling me earlier that they've got into a bit of trouble because it turns out that they're bringing in some McCain's frozen oven chips around the back door and selling them.
I'm really sorry, guys. I was told you wanted to talk to me about tipping.
Well, we are going to talk about tipping, but I didn't realise that being a food critic, you would be so straight-jacketed. I mean, we can talk about tipping in a minute. Don't worry. But let's talk about whether the Ritz should be flogging, McCain's oven chips for whatever it is, £45 for fish and chips.
No.
Exactly.
Let's move on to tipping.
To tipping. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, on the tipping scene here, I mean, does anybody know what the clear pattern is? When you pay that 12.5% and it's on a credit card, is there any guarantee it gets back to the people who've been serving you your food at your table?
None at all. That's the problem. I've been doing that job for 17 years, and I can't tell you exactly what happens. The whole distinction between what's a tip, a gratuity, what is a service charge, which bit gets that applied to it, it is as clear as mud. And I don't think it's been made any clearer today by the Business Secretary's announcement of a consultation changes in the law. I genuinely think we just need to scrap the whole lot of it, increase prices of dishes so that the diner knows what they're paying, and pay waiters a proper salary rather than having them dependent on, the mood that you or I are in when we come in for dinner.
But that's one of the problems, isn't it? Because paying them a proper salary is precisely what doesn't work terribly well, because the main problem with the service industry in this country is that people don't rely on their tips to make a living, and so therefore the service isn't perhaps as good as it is in America, where they do.
Well, you can go one of two ways. The American system, where they talk about their tips, how important it is. Have you ever tried in America? I'm sure you've been. Have you ever tried not paying the tip in a restaurant?
I have, and in fact, quite successfully. Once in New York, the guy got very upset with me.
They won't let you out the restaurant.
They get very, very angry. Whereas I think the more interesting lesson here is if you look to a country like Japan, where they take their profession very seriously, and if you try to tip them, they're almost offended. In fact, they genuinely are offended. There is, whenever anybody objects to the idea of getting rid of tips and services, there are all these reasons they come up with, but none of them can actually say why, if it works in Japan or Australia or New Zealand, it can't work here. Either we believe that waiters are doing a proper job that deserves respect and the respect of a wage, or we don't. I think it does, and I think the simplest way is to get rid of this endless confusion over tips and service charges by paying waiters properly and then putting that on the bill.
Well, Jay, I've just been told by my colleague here, my colleague in arms, again called Mike, that you can actually say to them when they're preparing the bill, knock off the service charge at 12.5%. Now, if that's the case, I fully endorse that, because even if I do pay it with the service charge, if a particular waiter or waitress has been very attentive to me, I put my hand in my pocket, I bring out a £20 bill, and I try to surreptitiously push it into their hand, so that actually...
Why don't you just leave it on the table?
I don't leave it on the table because, A, somebody else might pick it up, but B, their colleagues will know that they've been favoured by a particular customer and might claim a percentage of that £20. Is that not right?
Well, it's just confusing and strange and feudal, frankly. I mean, one of the things is that you may think that your waiter has given you brilliant service, but perhaps they've been given the space in which to do so by the efficiency of all the other waiters on the floor and the efficiency of the kitchen. Restaurants are a machine. They work from front to back of house, and if one part of them falls apart, It's really down to just one person being rubbish at their job.
But that's true, though. But does that not mean that when... I mean, I know you're saying you maybe not in favour of what happens in New York. I mean, New York, for me, is one of the great places to go out for a meal because the restaurant business there is very, very cutthroat. It works very well.
Efficient.
You have to be very, very good at your job. Otherwise, the restaurant fails. The food has to be great. It has to be quick. It has to be served by people with a smile on their face. And if it doesn't work, the restaurant's done and dusted. And I think here, it's a very different case. You still go to lots of places in Britain where the service is dreadful.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Actually, I don't think there's much difference between London and New York these days, if I'm really honest.
No, I think there is still. I mean, it's a lot better here now, but it's still not as good as it is there.
Oh, I don't know. I find some of the American service where they hunker down beside you and rest their hand against your upper arm and say, "Hi guys, how are we today?" And let me tell you about my specials. You just want to nail their hands to the floor.
Yeah, but it's still rather that than waiting 20 minutes when you walk in to sit down and nobody's even come and asked you what you want.
But see, the reality is, if we want waiting to be a professional career, something with a real career structure, attracting people who are good at it, we're going to have to start paying for it. And I don't see how having this feudal system based on some kind of antiquated mythology that goes back to the days of lords and servants really serves that when we're in the 21st century.
It's the same
Make sure that waiters are paid properly, get rid of the tips, which nobody understands anyway. If you really want to leave a little extra on the table in cash, well, you still can.
Well, it's the same with barmen in New York, isn't it, Jay? A many barmen in New York have you seen, operate so efficiently and then come back to England and 2 days later you've got a guy in a pub asking you why you want more than one lump of ice in your gin and tonic, why you want a slice of lemon, why you want a clean glass.
You're now just turning into an angry old man on a Monday afternoon.
No, I'm not. They, you know as well as I do that people talk very proudly about being a barman in a New York pub or a New York bar because it is a very, very respectable profession.
Well, it is.
It is.
But it's driven by an entirely different culture. I think we need a change of culture over here because we've ended up with the kind of service we deserve. And we've ended up with the kind of people going into it who see it as just the thing to do before the other thing they're going to do and not actually the main thing. And the only way that it's ever going to change is if we get rid of our tipping system, which is a mess, and replace it with an equitable pay system for the staff.
I think there's more to it than that, but we haven't got quite got
I think
time
it's
for
in
you
the
to answer that.
DNA of restaurant tourism in this country.
I think it is, because I think there's a lot of people in this country who don't want to serve other people. I think that's a problem as well. What do you think of that?
I think it's rubbish.
Well, I tell you what, I'd rather have a restaurant full of Eastern European waiters and waitresses than actually English waiters and waitresses. They're better.
I'm not getting involved.
No,
they really not.
Jay only wants to talk about the things that we've agreed.
I thought you were going to have a sensible conversation.
You must be joking,
Jay. I think
Jay.
That's sensible. I think that's pretty sensible. That's my observation.
Jay's a food critic. I can't believe he ever has any sensible conversation with anybody. What sort of job is that, for heaven's sake?
Now, about this drink situation, there is another... And who are we talking to about this, by the way?
I don't know. We'll find out later on.
Well, he's not going to be sensitive. He'll touch you or anything, is he?
I hope not.
No.
Well, nobody will be worse than Jay Rayner.
Oh, well, that's a bit harsh now. I think now we've decided that the boy had an off day and we can leave it at that. I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about, because I am a student of the English language. Yes. You have no idea, neither does anybody else, exactly how many expressions Shakespeare gave us.
How many expressions?
Yeah. I mean, in common day modern parlance, you have absolutely no idea. Absolutely no idea. There's over 400 modern-day expressions used in the English language, right, which are attributed to Shakespeare, OK?
Yes, go on.
Right, here we go.
Well, it's just going to be any surprise to me, because most of the things you tell me are not very much of a surprise.
I think they are. For goodness sake, right?
For goodness sake?
For goodness sake.
Yeah, where does that come from?
Shakespeare.
Well, you're just going to say Shakespeare, or you're going to say a specific play?
Well, there are too many to give you. So I'm saying, for goodness sake, bloodstained, assassinate, homicide, suspicious, baseless, impartial, premeditated, and exposure, in a pickle, the game's afoot.
Yeah. None of this is surprising me so far.
Hang on. A dish fit for the gods.
Yeah.
Have you ever stood on ceremony?
Yeah.
Have you ever danced attendance? There's one here which can't be Shakespeare, but it has a modern parlance. There's for twitting me with perjury. See, that's got the word Twitter in it, even though it's 400 years ago.
Well, when has anybody ever said that?
People do. But here, let me go on. To break the ice. And did you know, you won't believe this, this is the best thing I got from this journal I read it on.
Oh, yeah.
The first ever knock, knock, who's there joke was actually in Macbeth.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, what's the joke?
Well, isn't it with the jailer, as I remember it, because I studied Macbeth, you know,
right.
knock, knock.
Well, why don't you tell us the joke?
Well, it's
and
not...
does he say who's there?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But,
Does he say who's there?
Well, of course it does, because it's, it's knock, knock.
Right.
Who's there?
And what did you say, Macbeth? Macbeth who?
No,
well, how's it a knock-knock joke?
No.
You don't just have a knock-knock joke by somebody knocking on the door.
Well, you do.
It's not a knock-knock joke.
No.
It has to go knock-knock. The other guy has to go, who's there?
Yes, as I recall. Yes, that's right.
Macduff?
So it was knock, knock, who's there?
Yeah.
And then, as I recall, the answer was the jailer.
And does he say the jailer who?
No, I think he said the jailer or the jailhead or something like that. You know what I mean? That was what it was all about.
It's not much of a joke, is it?
Well, it was a good joke in those days. You've got to understand. You've got to understand what many people understand, Mike. So I'll explain this to you, to our many listeners.
Yeah, go on.
Shakespeare wrote plays to be acted on the stage. He never thought they'd be written down and studied in text. They were never meant to be.
Right.
He didn't write them down.
So it was not meant to. It was all meant to be just memorised.
It was all meant to give an image and give a portrayal and give an experience.
Did you watch that Shakespeare thing the other week? Was it last weekend?
What about?
There was a sort of night of Shakespeare going on.
No.
Because it was to celebrate his birthday.
No, it's 400 years since he died, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but his birthday and his death date were the same.
Yeah, they were. That's
so
right.
the celebration was joint.
No, because 400 years was since he died.
Yeah, I know.
453 years was since he was born.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
So
but it wasn't the same day.
It's the same date, though.
It was St George's Day.
Yeah.
I actually find reading Shakespeare intensely boring, don't you?
Well, it's not something I read very often.
No, because I do.
Well, you read Shakespeare?
Yes, I do.
When was the last Shakespearean act that you read?
King Lear. I read a bit of King Lear to try and understand a particular part of it I didn't know. I've got a book of the complete works of Shakespeare.
Have you?
No bigger than like a paperback book. You know what I mean?
Well, like a pocket book.
Yes, a pocket book of the complete works of Shakespeare.
The complete works of Shakespeare in what sort of size? How many pages?
Lots, but
Lots of pages.
but it's pocket book size. You can carry it around with it. That's what I mean. It's
it must be very small print. Must be very small print.
A Wild Goose Chase was his. Okay.
Wild Goose Chase. Yeah.
Yes.
Knew that.
Slept Not One Wink.
Yeah.
Is his. How about that? With Bated Breath.
Yeah.
All's Well That Ends Well. That was the name of a play, of course, as well as becoming a modern expression in the English language. He's also responsible for lots of film titles which have been stolen from his works. Yeah. So, for instance, you won't believe this. Murder Most Foul.
Yes. Well, I believe all of them because
North by Northwest.
Yeah.
You know that North by Northwest came from a Shakespearean text.
It was a film by Hitchcock, wasn't it?
That was what's his name? Cary Grant.
Yeah.
I was going to say Gary Peacock then. For some
Gary
reason.
Peacock? Who's he?
No, Cary Grant. And amazingly, as recently as Where Eagles Dare.
Yes. That was on last night.
Hey,
Where Eagles Dare was on last night. I actually watched a bit of it before Match of the Day.
And perhaps the most popularly used one of all time in business, it's Greek to me.
Uh-huh.
That's a Shakespearean expression.
Okay.
Isn't that amazing?
Really?
Yeah, don't budge an inch.
Yeah.
Don't be tongue-tied.
Right.
Give somebody short shrift. Mm-hmm. Make a virtue of necessity. And you must insist on fair play.
Okay.
None of those expressions were ever used until Shakespeare got round to writing them into his stage plays. A stony-hearted villain. Don't be bloody-minded.
Right.
You are a blinking idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, you are, but I mean that's not necessarily a Shakespeare expression.
Goes back to Jay Rayner again.
But always remember...
He's getting a terrible tonking on Twitter. You know?
Oh, well...
Unbelievable.
Well,
He's getting absolutely horsed, monstered, whatever you wish to say.
We didn't mean that to happen, did we?
Well, we didn't start it.
No, of course we didn't.
We didn't start it.
Absolutely.
Called us knuckle draggers.
Quite right.
Terrible thing to say. This is, of course, the time when Mr. Parry and I go head-to-head. We've had 3 competitions thus far in the last, season and a half, and I've won all 3 of them. We're now into our 4th competition, where I'm leading by 1.5 to a half.
Yes.
Basically, the rules are as follows. We will give you our 3 nominations for winners of the weekend and losers of the weekend as well, and then you will vote on Twitter. We'll put out a tweet on the 2 mics, of course, and you can vote for either me or Mike Parry. Now, we haven't agreed on who's going to go first yet, so would you like to go first with losers or with winners?
Well, I normally always pick to go with losers first.
Yeah.
Not brought me luck, so I think I'll go first with winners this week.
Right,
so you can go first with losers.
So that means I will go first with the losers.
Yes.
Now, we mentioned him a little bit earlier on in the show. I'm going to go with John Virgo, even though there will be some who would say, actually, that John Virgo made what was a very dull session of snooker actually quite interesting. But anyone who does what he did obviously has to feel a bit sorry, and he had to make an apology. Unfortunately, the trick of the business is that if you're sitting in front of a microphone, always assume that it's live, because he assumed that he was off mic when they were watching a particularly dull exchange between Mark Selby and Ding Junhui, and he thought that nobody was listening, and he was moaning about the fact that it was going on for so long that he's probably going to miss the racing that he wanted to watch.
Yes.
And all he would get to see would be what can only be described as expletive, a bit of match of the day. And, I mean, a lot of people thought it was funny, and I thought it was quite funny, but I'm still going to put him down as a loser because the BBC had to issue a statement saying we will still be employing John Virgo throughout the rest of the competition.
I think that's a little harsh.
No, all right. My second loser is Prince Harry. I don't know if you saw a video that was put out of the weekend. Prince Harry and the Queen. Basically, what they were doing was promoting the 2016 Invictus Games, which is a very worthwhile endeavour. But unfortunately, it was a spoof too far for me. What they were doing was pretending that they actually got a video sort of telephone call from Barack Obama and Michelle Obama from the White House, and they were doing all this kind of bring it, boom, trying to sort of make out that they were having this very kind of rivalry between the two nations about the Invictus Games. It just made the Queen look, to me, rather silly, and I think he shouldn't have done it.
I think by and by Harry's regarded as a winner. I think he does a very good job for this country, and I think he holds his head up high, despite the fact that
I didn't ask you for your thoughts or comments on my losers, right?
He's the heir and spare,
and my final loser of the week has to be, it's a late one, it's Jay Rayner. Jay Rayner, who came on our show, decided that he would complain about the fact that we were knuckle draggers. He's now still being slaughtered mercilessly on Twitter and may never recover.
He is.
So those are my 3, and I commend them to the House.
OK.
So what are your 3 losers?
All right, thank you for that. Right, my 3 losers are a bit more straightforward, actually. Lewis Hamilton is my first loser of the week.
You usually have him as a winner.
Well, Lewis Hamilton has become a loser. He's become a loser in the space of 7 Grand Prix. The 3 he lost at the end of last season to his teammate, and the 4 he's lost this season.
Name?
Sorry?
What's his teammate's name?
What do you mean?
What's his name?
What's that got to do with it?
Well, it's been good to have accuracy.
No, I'm not bringing another name in. You're always doing this, always trying to put other names in. Lewis Hamilton has now lost 7 consecutive...
Well, you just said his teammate.
Grand Prix,
Well, who's his teammate?
I'm not going to tell you.
You can't remember?
Of course I can remember. I'm not telling you. He's lost 7 consecutive Grand Prix. No. And
start calling you Jay.
And after the last one that he lost in Sochi, right?
Yeah.
He's now hinted that something is afoot and that there's skullduggery going on, because he's saying that the mechanics and the engineers and the people who looked after him in the last 2 seasons when he won the title twice have now been switched to his rival.
Oh.
OK?
All right. So you're saying that he's being somehow being gerrymandered while he's driving around?
Well, he's hinting that he is. He's hinting that,
of course, if that turns out to be true, then he won't be a loser, will he?
Sorry?
If that turns out to be true, he won't be a loser.
Well, he is being a loser at the moment because he's losing successive Grand Prix and he's starting to get an attitude about it. My second loser, and I think this will really resonate with people, Ashley Cole managed to get himself sent off in the space of 35 seconds with 2 yellow cards in the MLS. How about that?
Did he?
Yes, he did.
That is very silly.
He did. What he did was he got done for messing around with the free kick, so he got a yellow card for a technical foul. He then he took a throw-in. He then took the throw-in, came on the pitch, and then sized the guy down, got a second yellow card, and went off.
Dear me.
So Ashley Cole, 2 yellow cards in 35 seconds.
Who were they playing?
Sorry?
Who were they playing?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they're playing,
well,
okay?
It does matter.
It does not matter.
It's all about the detail.
And the third one are 2 Villa players, right?
Well, you can't have 2. That's 4 losers, then.
No, it's not.
You can only have 1.
No. All right, I'll have 1 then. It's Jordan Ayew who's a Villa player, okay? And do you know why?
Yeah, why?
Because there's now an investigation as to why he got into the crowd and started a discussion which got out of hand with some Watford fans. And it's because, of course, Troy Deeney, who's the Watford centre-forward, who scored 2 goals against his team, was in fact a big Birmingham City fan all his life, and still is. But as Villa have only won 3 games all season, you'd think that the Villa players would have something better to do than start squabbles with the crowd. So Lewis Hamilton, Ashley Cole, Jordan Ayew of Villa, they're my 3 losers.
OK, let's have the winners now.
OK.
Everyone's a winner, baby, that's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy.
OK, it's your turn to go first.
OK, here we go.
Your 3 winners.
My 3 winners. My first winner is Richard Johnson, OK? Why? Because he's just been made champion jockey after waiting 20 years.
Right.
During those 20 years, of course, AP McCoy won everything, and he came second in all those years.
Right.
And what's happened now is he was thinking about retiring a couple of times because he couldn't beat the boy.
Yeah.
But now he has, and he's finally got his hands on it. After 20 years, he's become jump jockey. I said that boy's a winner. Okay. Now, my second winner, and again, this is relating to football.
Yeah.
This is Scott Arfield. Scott Arfield is the Burnley midfield player, OK?
Burnley.
Doesn't get...
Playing later on.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't get huge, bouquets and all that, but... Up till now, he's played all 44 games for Burnley this season. A quite remarkable record. Quite remarkable for a player in the Championship to have played all 44, 90 minutes in all 44 games, OK? He deserves a medal for that. And my third winner, and I think this may clinch it, my third winner is Mrs. Ranieri.
Mrs. Ranieri?
I.e.,
Do you mean his mum?
Of course I mean his mum.
So you're doing this purely because I once nominated my mother for being 92?
Not at all.
Yes,
not
you
at
are.
all.
It's an absolutely shameless attempt to try and pull on the heartstrings of people.
No, it's
not.
not.
It's not even your mother.
No, it's not. Claudio Ranieri has decided that instead of staying back here and watching whether or not his magnificent Leicester team are going to clinch the Premier League title tonight in absence...
And you've swallowed it completely,
has gone to Italy because it is his mum's 96th birthday, OK? So the reason that Mrs. Ranieri is a winner is to have a son as devoted as that when he's got such a huge day back in England where he's going to achieve the greatest moment in his professional career. But he decides, I'm flying to Italy to have lunch with my mum today. It's her 96th birthday. That lady truly is a winner for having a son of such loyalty and compassion.
Absolutely unbelievable.
They're my 3 winners.
Okay.
I commend them to the house.
Well, my main winner from the Leicester stable, I'd have to say, is Jamie Vardy, because not only did he win the PFA, not the PFA, the Writers' Association.
Yeah, did you vote for him?
No, because I don't vote in it.
Oh, well, I voted for him.
Yeah, well, I know you did.
Well, that makes me a winner then, doesn't it, for a winner?
Well, no, it doesn't, actually.
Yeah,
you would never be in my winner's circle for any reason at all. But not only did he win the Player of the Year award because of his 22 goals in 36 appearances, but he also gets the chance to win properly because, of course, if Leicester had beaten Manchester United at the weekend, Jamie Vardy was not playing, and he would have been, accused of having to jump on the pitch and run around in his full kit and all that. Yeah. Now he'll be able to do that at Everton, if it all happens at Everton, or maybe if it happens later on tonight, we'll find out. If,
I think he's been given permission to go on the pitch tonight.
Yes,
at the next game.
What at Stamford Bridge?
Not tonight.
I don't think you want to see him at Stamford Bridge.
No, he's been.
Never seen John Terry running around at Stamford Bridge.
Well, no,
that's another story.
Yeah,
why do you keep interrupting me? Anyway, I've only got 1/3 of the way through my nominations. My second nomination is Dan Evans. Dan Evans, tennis player. Who last June was ranked 763rd in the world. Okay. Right, he's now one of 4.
Doesn't sound very good.
One of 4 British men who's got himself into the top 100, which is an incredible rise. He's gone 600 odd places up inside a year. He's around about 95.
Sorry, what is exactly his
They haven't announced the numbers yet. He will be in the top 100.
How do you know
when the numbers come out? Because that's the way tennis works.
And when are the numbers coming out?
Because he won the Santesi Challenge title in Taipei on Sunday, which you weren't looking for.
And you're classifying this guy a winner?
Yeah, because he's one of 4 male tennis players from Britain in the top 100. We haven't had that many in there for a long time.
And he's about the 95th worst in the world.
No, not at all true. He was 763, so that makes him brilliant. And Rafa Benitez is my third winner because, of course, 3 more points for Newcastle, lifts them out of relegation. That is winners and losers. Our next guest, Mr. Chris Mercer. I'm sure we won't have anything like the same kind of trouble. Chris, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well indeed.
Well, thank you.
I seem to have upset the food critic of The Observer by asking him a question he wasn't expecting about food. But there we are. You can't have everything in life.
Be a bit more amicable. How about that?
Well, let's try.
Nice. I mean, nice.
You don't mind if we ask you questions about different kinds of wine or sparkling wine versus red wine or rosé or white or anything like that. You're not going to go, well, we didn't agree on this beforehand.
I like all types of wine. So
Excellent. So do we, funnily enough. Fascinating piece in the Times this morning, talking about English fizz with a little je ne sais quoi, talking about the rise of English sparkling wine, basically, and saying that, I mean, nobody's going to completely and utterly start buying it instead of champagne or instead of Prosecco or whatever, but I mean, the English are getting very good at winemaking, aren't they?
Yeah, they certainly are. I mean, I have to say, if you go to some parts of France and you speak to some of the French winemakers, English wine is still seen as a bit of a bad joke, you know, and certainly down in the south, that they still can't really believe it's actually happening. But with a couple of the champagne houses investing in English wine now, in the last sort of 6 months, you know, it's starting to get a bit of a head of steam, and they're producing 6 million bottles a year of English wine now, and the quality is very good in some places.
Yeah. And what is it that they've learned to do? Because obviously there was a time when not only was English wine sort of looked upon as rather desperately kind of sad, but just didn't taste very good. But now it's great.
That's right. I think it's a mixture of experience. That people have also come in from outside. So actually you'll find there are people making English wine who've kind of come from other countries as well. It's quite a mix of people sort of involved in the sector. And it's really just, you know, having sort of 20 years or so, really good experience of kind of planting the vines, thinking about what's happening. People talk about climate change as well. You know, the weather's getting a bit warmer. Maybe that's helping. I think it's a bit early to say definitively whether that's true. But there's no doubt that there is some really good stuff coming out of the south of England. Some of the producers like Night Timber or Ridgeview, for example, would be things to look for in the shops.
Right.
And we've seen at Decanters, we have the Decanter World Wine Awards every year, and English wine is really starting to win more and more medals, certainly in the last 2 years.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I was going to ask you how it's viewed in places like France and Spain and maybe even the new world places like Australia and Argentina.
I think we're still probably a bit away from, you know, a French family sitting down and having a bottle of English sparkling wine in the evening, you know, certainly in some of the wine regions of France and Spain. But having said that, you know, there is interest. Last time I went to Bordeaux, people were asking a lot about English sparkling wine. They're interested. I'm not sure they're worried in terms of the competition, but there's definitely interest.
But Chris, how is it made? I don't understand it, because we have such a variance in temperature between summers and winters that you don't get in the Mediterranean. And these grapes and these vines, they must be killed off sometimes when you get a cold snap in the winter, because we're getting sort of warmer, milder summers, but we're getting cold winters. You know what happens in Florida?
We didn't have any snow this winter at all. We didn't have any snow.
When in Florida you get a cold snap that kills off the orange crop, the country's economy nearly collapses. I don't understand that. Yeah. I mean, are we doing it in big greenhouses? For instance, could somebody who previously put his mind to growing cannabis, you know, in a room full of hot lights and something like that, now be growing wine or growing grapes?
Illegal and switch to wine.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, but I mean, I don't understand how we do it naturally.
It's not actually that drastic. I mean, if you look at the last 2 winters in England, I mean, it's been quite mild actually. So they've actually not really had to deal with much extreme weather. I mean, the main problem in England is the rain, as we all know. So, you know, if they get a lot of rain in the summer and it gets cold in August, for example, that can be a bit of a problem in terms of the ripening and the rot in the vineyards. But generally speaking, the last couple of years has been pretty kind to English vineyards. They had a bit of a bad one back in 2012.
But and where do they sell all this wine, Chris? Where do they sell this 6 million bottles a year? Because I've never seen it in Tesco's, never seen it in Sainsbury's.
You haven't looked for it.
Because I do look for it, but I mean...
Well, they do sell it in supermarkets.
Well, I've never seen it.
Well, they don't sell it in the bargain basement bin.
Eh?
They don't sell it in the bargain basement bin. You have to look elsewhere.
That's the only thing with it. I mean, it is quite expensive.
Well, there you go.
You know, if you're looking at sort of upwards of £20 a bottle.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, there's a very fine. There's a very fine.
£20 a bottle.
There's a very fine restaurant. I'll tell you what. I'll take you there.
I wouldn't pay £20 a bottle for a Petrus.
But you pay 43 grand for a car.
Well, like, a car gets you from A to B. All a bottle of wine does is get you from the ceiling to the floor.
It gets you from A to A. You don't move anywhere.
That's
no,
right,
but there's a very fine restaurant, and I'm not giving them a plug here. It's just because I go there quite a lot. Called Roast. I don't know if you're familiar with it at all, Chris. Up in London Bridge, and they've got a fantastic selection of English wines.
Really?
Most of them from Chapel Down. And I've tried, I think, most of their sort of their sparkling wines I've tried, and I've tried their whites. I don't think I've tried anything other than that, but they're terrific.
All in the name of research, of course. Yeah.
Well, of course, absolutely. Yeah. But they're great though.
Now, on that very subject, Chris, you just mentioned, right? New report, studying my medical journals today. New report found that those who have up to a third of a bottle of wine a day, 2 small glasses with food every day, suffer fewer illnesses, have a more positive outlook on life, and are less likely to binge drink. I mean, this is an endorsement, isn't it, of the beneficial powers of the grape?
We've long suspected it, and now clearly, I don't know. There's a lot of studies like this around. I mean, there is quite a lot of evidence that suggests if you drink a very small amount of red wine in particular every day, and so drinking in moderation, it may have some benefits, but at the same time, that doesn't really give you license to go out and drink a bottle a day and justify it.
Sorry, did you say a bottle a morning?
A bottle a day.
Oh, a bottle a day, sorry.
Well,
right.
Churchill used to have a bottle of champagne before lunch.
Well, he did, didn't he? Yeah, and didn't he used to sit in bed at night looking through his papers from his red box, liberally surrounded by brandy and champagne.
There you go.
Great stuff. Yeah. Where, you say you can get hold of these. I mean, where's the best? Is there a website that you guys run that people could have a look at all of the good sort of English wines without having to go to individual wineries, if you like?
Yeah. So if you go on decanter.com, which is our website, we've got English wine recommendations on there. Yeah, and you can find stockists on there as well, so you can find the shops that sell them. I mean, generally, if you're looking in places like sort of Waitrose sell quite a lot of English wine. You'll find like independent wine merchants, like shops sort of around you. They'll probably have like stock at least 1 or 2.
Okay.
There's a really good place if you are in London. There's a good place in Borough Market called the Wine Pantry, which sells a lot of English wine.
Oh, he lives there. He lives in Borough Market.
I'm gonna pop over there this afternoon. Well, it's not for me. I know where to get hold of these wines. It's for people like you, planks like you, and for Jay Rayner, who might need to.
I'm not rising to that sort of petty insult.
Chris, thank you very much indeed for joining us and being such a good guest and answering questions that we hadn't prepared you for beforehand.
That's right, yeah.
We've got lots more coming up. We are the Two Mics. You might have heard a bit of banging around there in the background. It was Mr. Parry settling himself. I wish you'd stop doing all that while we're in the midst of a radio programme. Emptying your faux leather bag, getting the headphones out, plugging them in, banging the microphone, banging the desk. I mean, this is a big day, very celebratory day for people.
Setting up the studio is vital to the atmosphere that surrounds you whilst you're getting the show underway.
Really?
And sometimes you have to clear it from for those before you.
What, you're saying it was a bit of a mess?
Well, yeah, I find a bit of a nuisance. People should treat their studio like their homes.
Nobody's interested.
You know what I mean?
Nobody's interested.
Now, could I just say something? Fat mouth.
I beg your pardon.
You said yes. Fat mouth is an absolutely appropriate description of you.
Is that right?
You said that I was amongst those who. What was your exact expression?
Said that Claudio Ranieri would be a disaster.
Yes. Could you give me that quote, please?
I'd be more than happy to give you the quote. The quote, as was reproduced in a couple of the papers this morning.
Well, exactly.
Claudio Ranieri joins Leicester. Weird move, that, says Porky. The Tinkerman returns. I went to Monaco when he completely screwed up the European tie.
And is there one single word in that quote that is inaccurate or in any way offensive to Claudio Ranieri?
Yes, weird move, that, I would say.
Well, it is a weird move. He'd just been sacked by Greece.
Right.
And Greece had just lost to the Faroe Islands, so no wonder he was sacked.
Well, it just shows you how little you know.
So that was a weird move.
And many other people know about the appointment of people and how it works, because I was, of course, as you will no doubt attest, one of the few people who said Claudio Ranieri going to Leicester will be fantastic for them. Absolutely fantastic.
Sorry, where's that written down?
And so it was not written down. I said it on the radio. I said it on the radio when he was appointed.
Sorry, where's it written down?
I know. Well, it doesn't need to be written down when you say it on the radio. Do you want me to find the clip for you?
Well, I don't think you'll be able to, mate.
I think I will.
Oh, I don't think you will.
Because I think if you look at Twitter, as it has been for the last several weeks, actually, people have been saying that, absolutely Mike Graham was one of the few people, any pundit around the country, around the world, who actually said Claudio Ranieri would be great for Leicester.
Oh, rubbish. That's only because you spent all day yesterday telling people, by the way, I back Claudio Ranieri.
No, that's not true.
You can't back it up with any sort of a quote.
That's not true.
Let me just compare my quote, which was wholly accurate.
So you're telling me that quotes written down are the only quotes that matter?
Well, the only ones that
So everything that you say on the radio doesn't matter?
The only ones that are set in stone are those that you can reproduce, either audio-wise, which you can't reproduce,
well, I could do,
or you can see it in print. point.
But it doesn't matter that much to
Are
me.
you telling me when I said I went to Monaco when he completely screwed up the European tie that there's anything inaccurate about that?
I'm not saying it's inaccurate.
I was there.
I'm not saying it's inaccurate. I'm saying that you said as a result of that he would be no good. Whereas on the other hand, you think Gary Neville, who's had a complete disaster in Valencia, will somehow be a great manager.
Hang on. Let me compare.
Let me read you this from Neil. A lot of journos saying they all thought Ranieri would be a disaster. This is true. However, in the case of Mike Graham, I remember him saying that he would be very good.
No, he remembers
knows.
you. He remembers you trying to remind millions of listeners that you said he'd be good.
Richard
I
Hurst.
don't ever remember hearing that.
Well, you don't remember what happened yesterday. Richard Hurst says,
is that right?
Mike Graham, the only broadcaster and journalist who got it right about Leicester. So much for the supposed experts.
Yeah, the Guardian's football editor, Marcus Christensen, described the appointment as baffling. If they wanted someone to keep them in the Premier League, then they may have got the wrong guy. And even better, a guy here called Charlie Hurley printed a picture of Coco the Clown and said, Mr. Claudio Ranieri, Coco the Clown. He's chief fan at Leicester, apparently.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, we're talking to Cliff Janetta, who's from the Leicester City Supporters
Club.
I'm sure he'll be very, very spot on all of this.
I never...
Refine says this. I remember MG saying at the start of the season how good Ranieri would be. Well done.
Oh, I don't remember that,
Richard says, spot on, MG. You were the only voice in the entire British media who said they would do it and not slip up. All of this stuff is written down. I'm sure that you will now probably admit to the fact that I was the only person in the media, as Mickey says, who tipped Ranieri, and that was me.
I'm going to kill your argument stone dead.
You couldn't kill anything stone dead.
I have overnight, whilst you've been bladderated and not paying attention.
I took my daughter and her fiancé out for dinner last
Very
night.
Nice, that's excellent. Yeah. Well done.
Because I have a daughter to take out for
dinner. Good to see you're a family man. I have put together my own tribute to the great Claudio.
Nobody wants to hear that.
To the great Claudio Ranieri. Claudio Ranieri, newly crowned Messiah of Leicester City. Leicester used to be a tip, but now he's gone and won them the Premiership. Next year Leicester play at Inter Milan. They won't believe the manager's the Tinker Man. Oh, Claudio Ranieri, newly crowned Messiah of Leicester City. Right, so what do you think about that?
How long were you up doing that?
Excuse me, what do you think about that?
It doesn't even rhyme.
Well, of course it rhymes.
You can't rhyme tip with ship.
I didn't.
Right, you
did. No.
You're saying Leicester was a tip.
Well,
is that what you said?
Well, it used to be, didn't it? It used to be a bit of a tip.
You're saying Leicester as a city is a tip.
I've never said that. How dare you put words in my mouth? I said the whole thing was a bit of a mess. But now, suddenly overnight, on the same day, they managed to get themselves the Premier League Championship trophy. Well, certainly within 24 hours.
And how do you know they're playing Inter Milan next year?
Well, I don't, do I? But I mean...
Do you know where Inter Milan are in the Serie A table?
Let me just tell you this.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you this.
They might be playing Juventus.
Well, they could be playing Juventus, indeed.
But that didn't rhyme, did it?
No,
so
you
just
fool.
Put any old rubbish in there.
No,
doesn't make any sense.
No, you idiot.
So as usual, you've turned Leicester City's fantastic Premier League winning season
into
something about you.
No.
That's what you do. It's all about you.
No.
It's all what you said about it.
Don't you
what
understand?
You can now say about it. Now you can do a song about it. Fortunately, you're not the only one that's been taking to song to pay tribute to Claudio Ranieri. Because Leicester Party's still going on. It's been going on since last night.
That really
It'll
worried
go
me
on
when I saw
for
that
the
stuff
rest.
in Jamie Vardy's house.
Did it? Why?
Well, do you know what my immediate reaction was?
What?
I wonder if all those people have taken their shoes off in his house, because I bet he's got very expensive carpet. Seriously.
That's typical of you.
No, it's not.
That's typical of you.
I thought, God, they're all jumping over his furniture, they're on his carpet and all that.
But he doesn't care.
Their shoes off.
Just won the Premier League.
Well, I would care.
Yeah,
I would care if people
Well,
trashing my house.
Miserable, sad, lonely old git.
Oh, really? Is that right?
For want of a better word. Have a listen to this and tell me it's not better than yours.
Ranieri is taking us to Europe, to Europe, to Europe, and that's the way we like it. We like it, we like it. In fact, we really love it. We love it, we love it. Oh.
Isn't that nice?
Sorry, is that it?
That's a choir. It's a sort of a cappella version without any backup
drivel.
music. Yeah, but there's nothing wrong in it.
No, I'm sorry.
There's no facts which are incorrect.
We love him, we love him, we love him, we love Ranieri. How repetitive,
it's better than yours.
Load of drivel. No, it's not. Mine's better.
Also sung with
passion. Why do you put it to the vote?
Sung with passion.
Why do you put it to the vote?
I may put it to the vote, but it would be an absolute and utter kind of landslide against you.
No, it wouldn't.
Because you now have jumped on the bandwagon, pretending that you like Claudio
Excuse
Ranieri,
me,
making out that you think he's a great man.
My song came out first.
No, it didn't.
My song came out first.
Well, you don't get any points for that.
Well, I'm sorry, but I wrote it, scripted it myself, I did all the musical direction. I produced it, and they probably
produced
got
it. So you're not even giving any credit now to the guys behind the glass.
Well, they produced it with me.
They produced
it.
Yes.
With me. You produced it together.
Let's have a listen to something else that you might have forgotten about already.
Okay. I think Leicester will be one of the relegated clubs this season. I think they really flirted with danger last season, but I think the difference that kept them up was Nigel Pearson.
Yeah.
But Mr. Ranieri, I'm afraid I think he's all over the shop.
I actually think Leicester are going to be okay with Ranieri. I think he's rather a clever guy. Mm-hmm. So, what do you make of that? There's the evidence that you asked for earlier.
I didn't hear you say you think they were going to win the Premier League.
I never said they were going to win the Premier League.
But
what I did say was that Claudio Ranieri was a very clever guy, and that they would actually do well this season with him at the helm. Yeah, whereas you said, did you not, that they would be relegated?
You just make these spurious comments.
Did you not say they'd be relegated?
In the 5,000 to 1 hope that something might happen.
Let's have another listen to what you said.
How many times do you want to play it out?
I want to hear what you said.
I think Leicester will be one of the relegated clubs this season. I think they really flirted with danger last season, but I think the difference that kept them up was Nigel Pearson.
Yeah.
But Mr. Ranieri, I'm afraid I think he's all over the shop.
I actually think Leicester are going to be okay with Ranieri. I think he's rather a clever guy. See, my normal understated way of saying, basically, I think they're going to do very well.
Well,
so just admit you were wrong, and then we can, get on with the show. Ask Porky coming up a little bit later on in this hour. If you want a question answered, a problem solved, you know what to do. You can tweet us at the 2 Mics. You can text us on 81089, and you can find us on Facebook, of course, for 2 Mics as well, and get yourself sorted out. Now, we haven't done personal listography yet, by the way.
No, we haven't. No.
From our favourite newspaper, The New Day.
Well, you've seen the story on the front.
They've also managed to do an entire front page without mentioning Leicester. Now, I know that they supposedly are a newspaper aimed entirely at women.
Yes.
But do they really think that Leicester does not bear any kind of resemblance to a front page story at all?
Well, hang on. Are they
the only newspaper in the world that hasn't got Leicester on a front page?
Are they also saying that Leicester doesn't have any women fans?
Well, I presume that's what they are saying. They've got a very small picture.
I think about 30% of Leicester fans are women.
Yeah, well, at the very least.
Their story on the front, if I've got it right, because I glanced at it this morning, is about a disease that somebody's picked up in Brazil, isn't it?
Yes. Expat struck down while working in Brazil slums.
Yes.
Can happen that if you go work in Brazil slums.
It can.
You can pick up some nasty sort of illnesses.
It doesn't usually end up on the front page of a newspaper in Great Britain.
Well, he's British.
Well, I know he's British, but I know it's a relevant sort of thing to report. Yeah. But does it really dominate the news agenda today?
I wouldn't have thought so.
As you quite rightly say, on
anyway,
what
do you want to know what
your
three listing things are this morning?
Yes, please.
This afternoon, I should say. List your 3 favourite books.
3 favourite books.
This should be easy for you.
Yes.
Go on.
My 3 favourite books are...
The Beano?
No, don't be idiotic. Without sort of getting into the history of Everton.
Presumably one of your own books, with your Rooney Tunes?
Well, no, I'm not going to be big-headed and boast about the fact that, my books have been bestsellers or anything like that. So I would say my 3 favourite books are...
In reverse order?
Well, in any order, really.
Any order. Go on.
The first one is The Pillars of the World.
Pillars of the World.
It was a novel written by the guy who was the big donor to Labour, and his wife became a Labour MP.
What's his name?
Very famous author.
Do you mean Ken Follett?
Ken Follett, thank you. Yeah, great. It was a fantastic book because it brought into perspective
history. I don't want to know why you like it. I just want to know the name of the book.
Right, OK. So
Number 2.
Number 2 would be, let me see, my second favourite
Can I hurry you up on this, please?
Yeah, OK. I'll tell you what it is.
Go on.
It's a book written by that great American author who...
John Dos Passos?
No. He was...
Ernest Hemingway?
He's the first guy to write really racy books, and this one was called Nevada Smith. Carpetbaggers. The Carpetbaggers.
Do you mean Harold Robbins?
Harold Robbins, The Carpetbaggers. Right. That's my second favourite book.
Can you try and give me the third book with the author's name that you actually know?
Yeah, OK. The third great book I read, and which I will remember forever, was... It Shouldn't Happen to a Vet by James Herriot.
OK.
OK? How's that?
Well, the thing that surprises me about all of that, right?
Right.
Is there's no mention of Shakespeare. And you mentioned Shakespeare yesterday about all these great words and phrases, right?
Yep.
And we've also unearthed this. this morning from your kind of mad video days on Two Mics TV.
Oh, really? Never mind a horse, a kingdom for my horse, or my kingdom for a horse. No. What about a donkey in exchange for a trophy? Yes, that's what I've brought you. The spirit of Richard III still lieth beneath Leicester. Leicester, of course. County town of Leicestershire, where I fought my battles, the Battle of Boswell, no less. Now then, is this a trophy I see in front of me coming my way? Till Dunsinane Hill does move, Leicester will never win a trophy. Oh, poor Claudio. I knew him well. I knew him as the Tinker Man, and now I know him as the Man. Oh, Claudio, where art thou, Claudio?
Dear me. Talk about a Shakespeare mashup. If you want to see the whole thing, it's on Two Mics TV on YouTube, but we'll send out a link on Twitter.
Well, I was asked just to do a sort of...
you were asked to.
A visual...
Do you remember what Steve Lillywhite said about
a visual tribute?
No self-editing?
Yeah.
You think Prince thought everything he did was good?
I want to do that again because,
like that.
You know, the out-out...
Don't do it again.
Out-out damn spot.
Yeah.
It should have been out-out damn penalty spot, of course.
Well,
but I got sort of chipped out. You know what I mean?
What, you got edited out?
Yeah, well, it just sort of fell out. There, these words do on digital editing, as I'm told.
Digital editing.
Anyway, there you go.
Yeah.
Right now then, what I want to talk to you about is.
Well, we haven't got very much time to talk about anything now.
Why?
Well, because we've been listening to all that nonsense about you quoting from Richard III. No makeup required, by the way, for your impersonation of Richard III.
Well, I didn't ask you to do that. I mean, I had no part in that. I merely respond to what is...
requests from your doting public.
Well, largely, demands from the audience. That's largely what I respond to.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
There's a lot of demands from the audience. Some of them say, please get Mike Parry off the air, but we don't respond to those.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, well, you know, I do love you all.
A man that has probably heard you hurling abuse at more people than you would care to mention
very much
is Piers Morgan, a guy that you've often said you taught him everything he knew, which obviously nobody really believes. I worked for him, and he taught me one or two things, I have to say.
Yeah.
Mr. Piers Morgan,
seem to work
a very good afternoon to you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chad. How are you?
Very well indeed. Very well indeed.
Absolutely splendid, Piers. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Yeah, well...
What a gentleman.
I mean...
I don't want another Jay Rayner situation on my hands.
No, definitely not.
You forced me to quit in disgust at the audacity of your questioning.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Do you mind if we ask you something about broadcasting on newspapers? Oh, no.
No, well, I mean, unfortunately...
I listened to it. I've dealt with him before. Extremely thin-skinned, very low sense of humour valves, and very high pomposity levels. Very entertaining.
Yeah, unfortunately for him as well, he then got slaughtered for about 12 hours after he appeared on the show by everybody who'd also heard it and thought he was a complete and utter idiot. But there we are. Man, but you're used to getting a fair bit of abuse on Twitter, and not least when you put out your combined Arsenal-Leicester 11 a few hours ago, which didn't include very many Arsenal players.
No, I think I managed to find room for 3, and that was a struggle. I got Cech in, although it could have been Schmeichel. I got Bellerin in, and I got Ozil in, but the rest of them were all Leicester players. And I did it because it sort of said it all to me. You know, if you've got Arsenal with the hundreds of millions of pounds that we've spent in our fancy, massive stadium generating millions and millions a week, and the highest ticket prices in world football, and one of the highest paid managers in world football, if I can only get 3 of our team into a combined Arsenal-Leicester team, what does that tell you about every excuse that Arsene Wenger's had for 10 years about not competing with the big, rich, powerful teams?
Well, what does it tell you, indeed? But also, as some people said to you, you didn't include a manager's choice in there. Presumably you'd rather have Ranieri than Wenger at this point, would you?
Oh, I'd say Ranieri tomorrow, because Ranieri has shown that actually it's not just about money, although Wenger doesn't compete at the top end with the big boys or at the bottom end with the Leicesters who did it through heart, desire and commitment, and a manager who played unbelievably intense pressing football the entire season in a fairly conventional 4-4-2 manner. What I really took exception to with Wenger and Arsenal this year is just the lack of heart, the lack of when the going got tough, we as normal just got going in the wrong direction. You know, our big striker, our Jamie Vardy, a guy who wasn't playing non-league football 3 years ago, Olivier Giroud, has not scored in 15 consecutive Premier League matches at the business end of the season. Yeah, now, this is the man that Wenger entrusted to win us the league, when even Thierry Henry said he'll never win the league. Well, he's not going to win us the league. Arsene Wenger is not going to win us the league again. And I say, as I said on this network many times, to those Arsenal fans who cheered Wenger's name last weekend and probably got him another contract, what are you thinking?
Yeah. Do you know what, Piers? I think it's going to get harder now as well, because I think what Leicester have done, apart from, a magnificent individual season, they've actually broken the mould now of the top four lockout to everybody else. It used to be the top four. They were recognised.
Is that your phrase of the day, broken the mould? We used that already.
We know who they were. We still know who they are. But, I mean, with the football playing field monetarily now being levelled and everybody's getting £100 million a season, with the fact that teams now are no longer beaten before they go onto the pitch when one of the big four are there, because Leicester have proved that reputations count for nothing, it's going to get even harder for the big four.
Well, listen, totally. I think that I put a tweet out earlier. The last time Arsenal won the league, I was still editor of the Daily Mirror. That is how long ago it was.
Yeah.
And that puts it
those were the
in
days.
time perspective. Well, actually, I was fired 17 days later, but I just dropped in under the radar. Yeah, but I think that's right, Porky. I think the thing is that you're going to have Pochettino, who's clearly a brilliant manager at Spurs with a great team. I hate to say it, but they are. He'll be adding some real firepower to them. You're going to have Conti at Chelsea. If they replicate what they showed in the second half yesterday and they bring his nous and his new signings in, they're going to be strong. Manchester United, whether it's Van Gaal, the end of his project, or they bring in Mourinho, they're going to be buying big and strong again. Manchester City with the best coach of world football, Guardiola, and so on and so on. You add in West Ham, you add in other teams bubbling under just around sort of 6-7. You look at Arsenal and you think, what is it about Wenger or Arsenal based on this season that is going to change? Why should we be in the top 5 next season? I mean, seriously, what is it that I'm missing?
Well, you say that, Piers, but I mean, Arsenal, they're only 3 points now behind Tottenham, and Tottenham, if they continue as they did last night, may completely spiral off the end of the cliff before the end of the season. I mean, Arsenal could still come second, couldn't they?
Well, so what? I mean, do you think Bill Shankly or Alex Ferguson or Jose Mourinho ever sat there going, I do hope we come second?
But surely finishing above Tottenham means something to you, doesn't it?
We've come third or fourth for the last 10 years in the Premier League, right? Tottenham have never beaten us in the Premier League. This may be the year. As you say, it's in doubt, but I suspect they will. Leicester, though, is the story, isn't it? Leicester are going to beat us by at least 12, 13 points, and they've won the league. And I simply say to those Arsenal fans who come on here and they say, we can't change, we mustn't change, we owe it to Wenger. We don't owe Wenger anything. He's been raking in £8 million a year now for a very long time to not come first or second in the league. And I say it's time to look at somebody fresh, someone that can do to us what Klopp is doing at Liverpool, what Pochettino's doing at Spurs.
I don't say
what Simeone's doing. What is everyone scared of? Why is Wenger given this extraordinary free pass?
Well, I don't see how anybody could disagree with you now. I mean, I've had conversations with you on Twitter about this before, and I've said, you've been disloyal to Wenger for all he's done to the club. But quite frankly, now, it's like looking down a runway at an airport. You can't see any end to it. You see what I mean? It's not getting any better.
He won't quit, and Stan Kroenke, our billionaire. Remember, we have a billionaire owner. So when he talked about not being able to compete with these billionaire-run clubs, we've been one. Stan Kroenke is worth $10 billion.
Ashmarov's worth more, isn't he?
Yeah, he just doesn't care. And my point about this is, like you say, where does it end? Wenger, I know for a fact, has a new 3-year contract on his desk, right? He's, as he normally does, trying to strategically play the fans and the media to a point where he can legitimately sign that new £25 million contract. And on Saturday, or last weekend, we had a chance, the fans had a chance to basically make their view known that it was time for change. And it turned into a massive dance squib. Yes, we had 10,000 who stayed away. Yes, a few thousand did put their placards up. It wasn't particularly well organised. It didn't play out very particularly well. What Wenger immediately did was he turned this into a massive, I was so surprised, I'm so thrilled, 80% of the fans are with me, and I know what this means. This means he is going to sign a new contract, and that means Arsenal will go another 3 years without winning the league, without winning the Champions League. And to those fans, they've got one more game against Aston Villa at home. That's it. And if they continue to chant Wenger's name, they will get him for 3 more years. And if that's what they want, then get off your feet and chant one Arsene Wenger, because that is what will be the consequence.
What do you think they should do then? How can they make their voices heard?
I think the only way you can make your voices heard, the most telling moment for me was when we played the other night and 10,000 people stayed away and it was very obvious and they voted with their feet. I hated to see it. I don't like seeing Wenger disrespected. I've nothing against him personally. He's a very erudite, intelligent man who did a great deal for this club in his first 8 years. But after 12 years of Premier League not coming in the top two, after 6 consecutive years of being kicked out of the Champions League in the last 16 stage, there's got to be a moment when this is over and when we try somebody fresh. And what really worries me now is Wenger, who's a very smart guy, is playing the media exactly like he normally does. He's already talking about another war chest for next season. He's already talking about, we pick up papers and we're in for Lewandowski, we're in for this, we're in for that. We should have had Luis Suarez, but we made a stupid, ignorant bid of £40,001,000 and we lost it. Had we had Suarez, we might have won 2 league titles in the last 3 years. Wenger doesn't have that killing instinct anymore. And so we are where we are. I don't know how it ends. I don't know where it ends. But
it doesn't end, though, does it? I mean, that's the point.
Wenger won't go anyway.
But
he's on $8 million a year.
But also, as you say,
on $8 million a year, you'd be there till you were 90.
But that's the point. I mean, Porky's run a few unsuccessful campaigns in his time. I mean, this must count as one of the more unsuccessful campaigns you've ever run, Piers, because you've been doing it for years.
I tend to lose all my campaigns. So I fought, as you know, for the Mirror, fought against the Iraq War. We lost that. Kevin Peterson and the England team, I lost that. I tried to get Manchester United back in the FA Cup when they pulled out and lost that, and ever since the FA Cup's been...
Yeah, but if you win these campaigns, you're out of business, mate. You've got to keep, banging the drum and saying that everybody else is out of step except you.
Yeah, another one I'd had, Guns in America and Arsene Wenger. Now, I would argue all those campaigns were right. I just happened to lose them. This is the last chance I have to get one where people see common sense. I mean, do Arsenal fans really want 3-4 more years of Arsene Wenger? Yes or no?
What did you make, Piers, of his recent proclamation, which none of us had ever heard before, that he was indebted to sign a 5-year contract with the club as part of the deal to build a new stadium? I didn't know about that.
It told me what I've suspected for years, that the banks are running Arsenal. They dictate, they decide who our manager is. And of course the banks like Arsene Wenger. He generates cash. We've got £200 million sitting in the bank. Had we spent that on a world-class striker, either last summer when we didn't buy a single outfield player, or have we bought 2 other great defenders, then we may not have come 3rd or 4th as we will do yet again. Wenger had the money. He had no more excuses. But frankly, even without that money, he had a squad that was 5-6 times more expensive than Leicester, perhaps more, and he's not able to generate the kind of passion, the desire that we saw, which Ranieri got out of those Leicester boys. And, I mean, look, let's park Arsenal to one side for 1 minute. I don't think it ends until Wenger falls on his sword. He may never fall on his sword. You and I might be talking about this in 10 years' time. I've no idea. But Leicester to me, is the great story of modern football, of any football, of sport, in history, because what it showed is that you can beat anybody in a David Goliath way if you just have enough drive and determination, and you have enough leadership, and you have a team spirit like we saw in the Vardy mansion video late last night when those guys went crackers together. That's how you win things.
You think they'll be in the top 4 next year?
I think they've got a very good chance because we get a huge injection of cash. I can't see any of the Leicester boys really moving unless, if Barcelona come in big for Mahrez, you could see him being tempted, something like that. But if you're Vardy, you're 30, you just signed a new contract, you're an absolute god in Leicester. Why would you move? So I think they're going to keep their key players, and they can add, hopefully, for them, 2 or 3 really world-class players with the new money that's coming in. And Leicester should then, I think, be comfortably top 4 contenders. I think West Ham will be up there with the new stadium, and based on a very good new manager and a good team spirit and very good performances this season. Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, the guy that brought to Arsenal, I think are going to be superb. I think Conti's, from what I hear, a terrific manager. Guardiola, of course, they're going to be great at Man City. So, again, I come back to what I said at the start of this. Where are Arsenal going to finish next season if Wenger doesn't go?
And who's got the ambition?
Finishing 6th or 7th. I don't know. We don't have any ambition.
Somebody surely, Piers, the size of the club that you've got. I mean, you can tell about the frustration at Manchester United now that they're a slumbering giant and they're slipping down the ranks and all that. But I don't see that behind the scenes at Arsenal. You know, who has the ambition to want that Premier League trophy back in their boardroom so they can boast to the rest of the Premier League, we are the champions?
What we need is an Abramovich, a ruthless boss, a ruthless owner who actually comes to the games, who actually cares, who goes in the dressing room, who goes to the training ground, a man who fired Jose Mourinho, who he loved, 7 months after he won the Premier League because he believed he'd lost the dressing room. That is what I want to see in the people that run Arsenal. Ruthlessness. Sure. Now look at Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson won 5 more league titles since Arsene Wenger last won one, and Ferguson's been retired 3 years. Right now, Man United had American owners, they had debt, they had a stadium redevelopment, etc., etc. All these excuses that Wenger uses, to my mind, have now been exposed, both by the richer clubs who've outperformed us and by clubs like Leicester, who've shown you don't actually need the money if you have great coaching and great drive and great team spirit. We don't have any of these things.
Now, we're out of time, unfortunately, Piers, but we're going to see you on TV in a show called Killer Women, which I was rather disappointed to find out was about serial killers. Thought it might have been about something else.
It's basically where I go to Texas and Florida into maximum security prisons, and I interview the most dangerous women in America, people who've done unspeakable crimes. It's very lurid. It's very compelling. It's a kind of Making a Murderer, the Netflix series, which gripped everybody. It has that kind of twists and turns to each story where you're not quite sure as a viewer where you think guilt or motivation lies. And at the end of it, I think you're given a very fascinating insight into what makes women kill in a premeditated way. It's very unusual. Very few women in the world actually plan and carefully execute horrific murders. So I think it'd be a compelling series. It starts Wednesday at 9 p.m. ITV, runs for 2 weeks, and tune in.
Great stuff.
Certainly will.
Piers, thanks very much.
Thank
Great to talk to you again. See you soon. Piers Morgan from ITV. He's got his serial killer show coming out. Have
next. You read a bit about it?
I have read a bit about it, yeah. I know a bit about high security prisons in America. I'll tell you about that in a little while. You weren't kept in one, of course. We are the two mics. Ask Porky coming up very, very shortly. But a very interesting story has crossed our desks in the last few hours. And it's all about travel because, of course, summer holiday is not far away now. And kids are going to be going away for half term soon. And people are getting on planes all the time. Apparently, air rage is now a massive thing.
Well, it's not only is it a massive thing, and we've got Simon with us, I'm delighted, because I'd love to hear his view on this, but the report I read said that air rage is often triggered on aeroplanes where there is a first-class cabin which breed resentment amongst passengers further down the plane. What I'm saying is, Mike, from my own experience, not that I've ever been involved in air rage, but I keep...
Certainly hope not.
No, I keep note of when these things happen. They normally seem to happen on low-budget flights going to places in Europe where a bunch of guys are celebrating the stag weekend.
Well, that's when you read about them, don't you? I mean, that's when you read that, a bunch of guys maybe going on a stag weekend have got a bit unruly. Planes have had to be landed in emergency situations. They've been kicked off, the plane carries on and all that. I wonder as well.
And hen parties with ladies, by the way.
I wonder as well whether or not actually it's because they've not just got first class, but they've now broken down, what used to be known as economy into about 4 different places.
Premium
they've got
economy.
Premium economy.
Upper economy and all that kind of stuff.
Economy. They've also, have they not also got now, proposals to put into place, sort of basic economy where you get nothing at all?
I think they're going to third class, aren't they? Like third class seats.
It's something like that. Let's find out from Simon Coulter, who I think is now there. Simon, a very good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon. Sorry, I was struggling through security into my fourth class seat.
No, Simon, it's fine. Simon, what do you think about this theory that I read this morning? Air rage incidents are more likely to happen on planes with a first class section because it triggers resentment amongst the economy passengers. A new study reveals. I mean, I thought it was all on budget flights going off to stag nights in Europe and all that kind of stuff.
It's much more complicated than that. According to Katie DeSells, and since she teaches organisational behaviour at the University of Toronto, and you don't and I don't, I think we have to take her word for it.
Right.
But yes, the very fact that there are some people are more equal than others means that you and I walking through business class on the way to the back of the plane will feel resentful, obviously. And even the people who are there will think that they have the right to be feel more special than they are.
Well, especially when they're sitting there clutching a flute of champagne as they watch the riffraff all passing through.
Supposing as one of the riffraff, I'm dawdling in duty free and I hold them up, that's going to enrage them, because they're going to think, hang on, I paid thousands of pounds for this, and Calder's dossing about as usual, and he's costing me time. So there's a lot of emotion flooding around, and while in a business class seat, and you were talking, in a one class all economy no frills seat, it's not much fun, but we're all pretty much the same. Once you've got business, it all gets all these dynamics working, and it means that the first class passengers behave worse, and the economy class passengers behave worse as well.
Golly, that's terrible. I mean, I tell you what I've had in the past. Sometimes I've been on a flight where I've been fortunate enough to be in first class or business class, and some of the people I'm working
free upgrade, presumably.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the people I'm working with are lower down the plane. So
as always.
What do you mean, your bag carriers?
Well, no. What I'm saying is, to make up for that and ease my conscience, I send a few little half bottles of champagne down, so they can have
kind of you.
Yeah, a little bit there. Now that does actually create resentment, because that's all right for the guys who are associated with me, but the people sitting next to them want to know why they've got a free half bottle of champagne and nobody else has.
Oh, well, look, I
life's not fair, Simon.
Life isn't fair, and since you brought alcohol into it, you did just now. Let's talk about that. Of course, anybody at the front of the plane gets unlimited drink to shove down their necks, and that doesn't do good things. And that's why I think we see a very high incidence of air rage among business and first class passengers, simply because if they've been in the executive lounge before their flight, they've sunk a few there.
Well, that's true.
They get on board as soon as you say, you can't sit down in business class, I understand, without somebody giving you a flute of champagne. And it just carries on like that.
But isn't there also a thing, Simon, where an awful lot of people now who sit in business class, particularly on long haul flights, are there because they've racked up loads of air miles and they managed to get themselves upgraded. So there'll be those people in there who've actually paid to be there, and others who perhaps haven't.
Well, look, in the community of airline travellers, I don't think you would find much anger about people who've managed to find one of the rare seats where you can get upgraded for using your points, because they'll feel that at least there's a loyal, long-suffering road warrior.
Right. Yeah.
It's the people who get free upgrades who really narc them. So that's either the last person to check into economy and there wasn't a seat left, and they bring their smelly old stuff into business class. Alternatively, it's airline staff.
Yes.
Because guess what? Like any industry, they look after their own, and therefore if you know the right people in an airline, and you say, oh, look, me and my girlfriend are flying off to Barcelona, then it's unlikely you're going to be stuck at the back of the plane. It's more likely that you're going to be down the front with all these people who spent hundreds of pounds.
It happens all the time. However, if it's a group of very attractive hostesses who are just coming back from a previous job,
I think we say refer to them as flight attendants or cabin crew,
cabin crew and all that kind of stuff. Then one usually doesn't object. The other problem, of course, Simon, and you've highlighted the amount of availability of booze before even getting on the plane, is it sometimes can destroy lives. We've already had cases in the past of people getting amorous with each other once they're in the air after meeting in the departure lounge and all this kind of stuff,
You haven't done any of that, have you?
Sorry?
You haven't done any of that?
No, I haven't. I'm very wary of it. When I get approached by strange ladies...
you did once book yourself into the seat next to a rather attractive female reporter who you'd sent to New York, didn't you?
Well, that was on Virgin Upper Class, and there just happened to be a spare seat next to where she was sitting, so I moved in.
Sorry, I must have been misinformed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Simon.
Absolutely.
Look, my goodness me, I think there is some of that stuff which goes on, and it's much more likely, of course, to go on in business class where there's a bit more room and a bit more privacy. You try kicking off with all that malarkey down the back of the plane.
Yeah, good luck.
It's not.
You're absolutely right. Hanky-panky can only happen where there's plenty of space for the old, rudderisation.
Sadly, Simon, we've run out of time before Porky gets a bit carried away with some of his previous encounters at the Mile High Club. Anyway, Anyway, Simon, thank you very much indeed.
Great to talk
We'll talk to you again soon. Simon Calder, their travel expert, of course. Coming up next, it's going to be he will give you the best piece of advice that he can. Let's kick off with one from Johnny, who has texted us into 81089. He says, "Hi, Porky. My employer may soon be offering voluntary redundancy. Should I take the money and run, or play it safe and stay put? I'm 54 and would need to get another job."
Yeah, that entirely depends on what you think your prospects are. At 54, that's a dodgy age, that, because there might be a bit of ageism going on in this country where they don't want to employ you because you're of that age. However, I would say it's a fantastic opportunity at 54. Don't get stuck in a humdrum job. If somebody's going to give you a bung of cash, you can go off into the world, start something new and be very successful. My verdict, take the money and run.
William says this on Twitter. Porky, I want to be a best-selling author like you. Can you tell me how to start off on the road to being a novelist?
Well, first of all, you've got to write a book. And then when you've written a book, you've got to find somebody who's interested in that book. So get yourself a literary agent. But most of all, have a look at the opportunities these days to self-publish, because that is a way of making yourself millions. Believe me, you've got to have faith in your own writing abilities. If your book's any good, start trailing it on social networking and get it into print on the...
social networking?
Social networking. Get it into print on the old net there, and once people start subscribing to it, you can make yourself millions. It's got to be good, though.
TMF says this. If you were Claudio Ranieri, would you walk away now, as how could you top his achievement going out at the end of this season?
Well, funny enough, I think that's got to be an attraction term. Even if it's not an attraction, it's got to be a temptation. I mean, how many people know when to really cop out and say... I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson did, for instance, OK?
He did?
Now, if Claudio...
Tony Blair didn't.
Tony Blair definitely didn't.
Oh, but Thatcher didn't.
No, they'll stay too long.
You haven't?
No, I haven't finished yet. I haven't reached my peak yet. When I reach my peak, I will cop out. Now, what I was going to say is, the only downer on that is that after such a momentous thing to have done, after 20 years working as a manager, surely you're going to stay another one season to enjoy the benefits of training yourself around the country with your team and saying, here come the champions. I don't think he will go, but I think he should go perhaps in a year's time.
Now, that leads us on to one from Mark on Facebook. He says, "Hey, Porky, what's your next big challenge that you're going to overcome?"
The next big challenge is tomorrow morning when I get up. You've got to remember that only 1/3 of my heart works, and for that reason, every day is a challenge. To get through that day takes, a certain amount of stubbornness to make sure that though life is constantly slapping you in the face, though life is constantly kicking you in the groin, though life is constantly treading on your toes, do you know what you do? You laugh in the face of adversity and say, "Pah! My name's Porky, I get on with it."
Tash says this. "I'm a doctor, 3 years from consultancy. Right. Considering a PhD versus corporate work, should I seek a better life or a cure for cancer?"
Well, obviously, it's going for a cure for cancer, if you're going into research and all that, is a very, very worthy thing to pursue. However, people have been looking for a cure for cancer for 100 years. They haven't found it yet, so I'm not sure you will, unless you're a genius. If I were you and you're going to become a medical consultant, I'd say there's a lot of problems in the health industry. I don't mean the health service, I mean the health industry in this country. Personally, if it's me, I'd push off to Rodeo Drive in California, make myself millions, and get on with driving a convertible Mercedes up and down the Pacific Coast Highway.
Dave says this on Facebook. "Seeing as Burnley just got promoted, can we have a Sean Dyche impression, please?"
As you would do it, I said to the lads, I said, "What's he got to do? What's he got to do? Is put the effort in and we'll get our reward."
Yeah, well, it's all fine except for the northern bit.
What?
He's not from the north.
No, not from the north. No,
never mind. Andy says this. "Hi guys, what should I do? Jay Rayner popped up in my dream last night, dressed as a big chip. How do I clear these thoughts?"
Do you know what I'd do? I'd have gone and got myself a load of vinegar and put it all over myself, and then salt, poured it over myself. Then, do you know what I'd done? Throw myself out the window.
Here's one from TMU. In personal listography that we do for the back of the New Day, he's got one that he's made up. Can you name your 3 favourite tinned products?
Yes, I can. Baked beans, oxtail soup,
right.
Both of which are Heinz. And thirdly, anybody's version...
They don't have to be Heinz, of course. It can be any variety.
It can be any variety. Anybody's version of mandarin oranges.
Here's one from Richard on Facebook. "Porky, the film of your life is long overdue.
Yes.
Is there anything in the pipeline?" I mean, after all, you know all these people from the world of film and television, don't you?
Yes, I do,
Peaky Blinders guys.
Sorry?
The Peaky Blinders guys.
Peaky Blinders guys and all that kind of stuff. Can I just say that, there could be things underway.
There could be?
Could be things underway.
Would there be a part for me in it?
No, definitely not.
Really?
No. I'm not having a scumbag like you into
There's just no way to keep you civil, is there?
To be a scar on my my glorious...
Your life would be nothing without me,
my glorious chapters of life. My life would be everything without you.
Would it? All right, see how you get on tomorrow then.
Yeah.
We'll lock you out the building. Yeah. Lee says this, my team, Dundee United, have just been relegated by our smaller rivals, Dundee.
Wow.
When can I leave the house again? Please help me, Porky.
Well, it is a shameful thing to have to go through, but remember, it's not your fault. It's not necessarily your fault. What I would do is, you know what I would do? I would parley with the opposition, because I think on these sort of occasions you have to. It's either that or... I don't know, grab a boat and row to the Faroe Islands to stay there for a couple of months until the pain is gone.
Yeah, Faroe Islands.
I don't actually know Dundee too well, except for the fact that Dundee, it's Jim from Dundee, and I work on the dandy. The dandy comes from Dundee, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
D.C. Thompson.
Yeah.
And also Dundee Cake I know about, that's pretty good.
Yeah, OK.
Oh, Dundee, the guy who was the
Crocodile
Australian...
Dundee.
Crocodile.
Nothing to do with Dundee, really.
No.
Becca says, how long can you be in a room with MG before you start an argument or insult him?
Not long. It depends how much bladderation has been in operation by the time we get to the point where he starts to interfere in aspects of my life, to interrupt when I'm having conversations with people, and to generally and basically try and big himself up in front of me to make himself look more than what he is, a creep.
Is that it?
Yes.
OK. How about this one then, from Andrew, who also remembers something you said earlier. Porky said a few months ago that if Leicester City win the league, he will come to Melton Mowbray, my hometown, and eat all the pork pies. Please can you tell me which day this will be?
Well, that's not actually going to happen, because...
Well, it's just like the Bournemouth Pier scenario.
No, I wasn't allowed to jump off the Bournemouth Pier, and the problem is that whilst I would like a pork pie a day, and would easily eat one for 12 days, because I think I said I'd eat 12 at once... I have since then seen my consultant, Dr. Nicholas Banner.
Yeah.
I raised it with him, and he said, no, it wouldn't be good news to eat 12 Melton Mowbray pork pies at the same time, because only 1/3 of my heart works.
So you've been banned then from that, have you?
Banned.
Peter says this, Porky, my mate thinks the Earth is flat and that NASA is a machine for lies. I think he's an idiot. Am I wrong? The Flat Earth movement is quite big online.
No, the guy's off his rocker, and whilst I have tremendous sympathy for people who have mental health problems, he just sounds like a bit of a loser and a half-bake.
OK. Thank you very much indeed.
Chimpanzees that I've been campaigning for so long...
Which ones?
The Liberian ones.
Oh, right, not the one in New York that's still incarcerated.
No. Tommy, who's in his concrete cage, we're still fighting that one. But the chimpanzees that I was trying to liberate from an island just off Liberia, right?
Yeah.
We haven't actually liberated them.
No, so it's not really a triumph, is it?
It is.
A bank has paid some money.
Citigroup, a massive international bank, and clearly a bank with a heart, has donated $50,000 to support the chimps abandoned by the New York Blood Centre.
That's less than the average bonus that they pay to their bankers every year, isn't it? It's not very much money.
In chimpanzees money, that's 50 million.
What can you get for 50 grand in chimpanzee money then?
An awful lot of bananas.
Really?
Seriously. Yeah. And medical help. You can set up a permanent
These are the chimps that have been stranded there by the New York Blood Centre, right? Because they used to sort of give them diseases, and they're all diseased chimps, aren't they?
Well, they were given diseases so that man, could find out what sort of impact diseases have on the creature nearest to Homo sapien, and that's obviously the chimpanzee.
It is a pretty sad state of affairs.
It's a sad state of affairs.
I don't see how you can claim to have made any victory.
Well, because I raised it.
Nothing to do with you.
I raised it. We have millions of listeners here. Funny enough, I was talking to one of our colleagues, John Norman, who is he's recently been in New Zealand.
He was there,
cricketing and all that kind of stuff. And he told me I'm a legend in New Zealand.
You?
Well, no, actually, he said the two mics are a legend. You know what I mean? In
so
New
you
Zealand.
Immediately took it upon yourself to assume that he was talking about you.
No. But, I mean, they love listening to the programme live in daytime hours, you see what I mean?
Yes.
What I'm saying is, when you have that sort of reach around the globe, it's clearly people are listening. So I just think it's brilliant. I was almost reduced to tears when I heard this news.
Almost.
Almost. And I feel so good about it. I might go and, I don't know, maybe have a sherbet after the show or something to celebrate.
I'm very happy for you.
It's great stuff.
Some good news for you this week, then.
Listen, did you ever get tuned into Frank Zappa?
Yes, I used to like Frank Zappa
really?
quite a lot, actually. Yeah, I've got a couple of his albums.
I never got turned on to him because I didn't like the look of him, and to me he looked so bizarre and so weird. But do you know that there's some dispute going on about he's dead, presumably, is he?
By Frank Zappa?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
You sure?
I don't think so.
No, there's a huge row going on within his family as to who's going to get his fortune when he does die.
Maybe
then.
he did die. I'm just so used to you killing people off when they're actually still alive.
Do you know how many albums Frank Zappa released?
Loads. 50 odd?
No, 60.
See, I said 50 odd. That was quite close.
That was quite close,
I've
yeah.
got one called Shake Your Booty. Still have it.
All right. Well, he released all these albums, and as a result of the number, really, not the fact that they had massive sales, he's got a huge fortune. And his son is called Dweezil Zappa.
Yeah, there's Moon Unit as well, isn't there?
What?
Moon Unit is one of his other kids.
Let me have a look here. Moon Unit.
Yeah.
It's a mad name.
I think that was the name he gave his daughter, but she may have changed it, but that was the name she was given at birth.
Hang on. Dweezil Zappa.
Yeah.
Ahmet and Diva, the youngest of Frank's 4 children, with Gail Slopeman. That must have been his wife, I suppose.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is, these 2 brothers have fallen out with each other.
Right.
Each wants to inherit their father's legacy.
Uh-huh.
But now there's a dispute
But
over...
don't they want us to perform his music as well? That's
yeah,
what
that's
the row's
right.
about.
That's right.
Well, why don't you explain it properly then?
Well, hang on. What are you telling me the story I'm telling you for?
Well, because you're not telling it right.
Frank Zappa. I'm telling it right.
You're not telling it right. The dispute is about his material, is it not?
What? Yeah, it is.
The dispute is about his material.
Yeah, but the...
Well, you didn't say that.
Yeah, but the strangest thing is, it is a dispute about his material between his children.
Yes.
I mean, why don't the 2 sons get up on the stage together and try and, pay tribute to the father by playing together? Well, you see, that's sibling rivalry.
He died in 1993.
Well, you just said he was still alive.
No, I said I thought he might be. Because I'm so sure. No, because I'm so sure of you killing people off before their time.
So he died over 20 years ago.
Yeah, such a long time ago I'd forgotten.
Yeah,
well, but he was a very talented man, tremendous.
I'm not sure he was. I thought he just sort of, clanged around on a
Moon
guitar.
Unit
a bit.
has shortened her name to Moon, apparently.
I don't know anything about it. Anyway, look, the point of the story is, and the same thing is happening now with Prince, the real venom and bitterness within families erupts once the source of the original fortune in the family
Do you think that'll happen when you die?
I think it could.
Well, you haven't got any family.
No, but I'm going to leave it to a number of people who I feel deserve a benefit in life or a bonus in life.
I can look forward to a large windfall then when you finally pop your clogs, can I?
You're getting zip, right? You know what zip is? It's my own expression for nothing.
I thought you might want to pay me back the $1 million you cost me in that apartment that you left in New York.
You keep banging on about that. Honestly, I mean,
it's $1 million. Just leave me $1 million.
One of these days, I'm going to talking about singing. By the way, you know the Eurovision Song Contest.
Well, never mind about that because I've got the personal listography in front of me in the New Day.
Oh,
it says list your 3 favourite songs.
Right.
So please try not to make them all by the Beatles and tell me what your 3 favourite songs are.
Okay.
Go on, number 1.
Strawberry Fields Forever.
Okay. By the Beatles?
Well, yes, and written by John Lennon.
Yeah,
yes.
Not by Elton John.
No, not by Elton John. No, you wouldn't get an Elton John song out of me as a favourite song.
Really?
I think most of them are trash.
Well, you don't like Rocket Man?
Not really.
Really?
I don't like the piano
I haven't asked you your
influence.
3 most horrible songs. What's your second one then?
My second one is There's Something in the Air by Thunderclap Newman.
Something in the Air by the one-hit wonder.
Yeah, it was a one-hit wonder, but it was a brilliant song.
You sure that's the title?
Something in the Air is the title.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And what's your final one?
My final one is Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty.
Oh, yeah.
Which I could listen to over and over and over again, mostly...
Have you got his greatest hits?
No, I haven't actually. I didn't know he had any other songs apart from Baker Street.
No, he has.
Has he?
Yeah, well, quite.
But mostly
prodigious writer.
Mostly for the power of the saxophone solo, which was simply brilliant. I mean, that made it, didn't it? That was all about.
It's certainly hard.
Do you know the name of the guy who played that?
I can't remember his name.
No, I can't either. But
why are you asking me that?
Well, because I thought you might know. Because
you did once say that Mike Oldfield had drunk himself to death in Ibiza, and when it turned out you were confusing him with Jerry Rafferty.
I was actually, that was a bit of a... But I'll tell you what, this is an interesting thing.
Yeah.
If you and I, here, let me tell you how the world would go.
Yeah.
So you and I have got an individual fortune of 50 million each because we've been very successful in something. We've been rock musicians or, not...
Do you fantasise about this kind of thing a lot?
No. But what I'm saying is, if you could get up every day and you had 50 million quid in the bank, you would literally be dead within 3 months.
Me?
Yes.
Why'd you say that?
Because you have no sense of responsibility whatsoever. You basically are an idle man who would like the world to owe him a living, but has to...
That's not true.
Who has to drag himself out of bed occasionally.
I have
to
responsibilities that you know nothing about.
Oh, yes, I do. I know
you
all
know
about your
nothing about my responsibilities. I've got people to look after. I've got children to pay for. Holidays to organise.
And that's the only thing that you do it for. It's the only thing you do it for. But I do it for the self-respect of being a working man.
Really?
Right? And if I had £100 million, I would still get up every day at 4:30 in the morning.
Well, that's because you've got nothing else to do.
No
life.
And plan something to do that day to change the world.
Right.
Even if it's only my own world.
Really?
But I would change some world.
Would you?
Or part of it.
What did you do this morning?
What did I do this morning?
Yeah.
Oh, you won't believe it.
We haven't got time for a long explanation. It's a one-word answer. 2
pigeons crashed onto my new bird pond and smashed it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. What a ridiculous story. We're going to talk about the great outdoors because there seems to be a bit of a problem with some of the mountains and some of the hills in this country, Porky. Yeah. Would you like to explain it to us?
Well, Sir Chris Bonington, of course, is a legendary mountaineer. Yeah. He's actually looking at a little lower in height of mountains than the Himalayas, where he's, of course, conquered every possible summit and around the world. He's talking about the Three Peaks Challenge in this country, and we're talking about, Wales' highest mountain, talking about Scotland's highest mountain, England's highest mountain, and when he gets up there, he finds that the pathways are getting worn down. Now, I know a bit about this. Being brought up in Chester, we used to go to Snowdonia.
Did you?
And,
it's a long walk, isn't it?
Well, we'd take the car to Snowdonia National Park, you idiot, and then walk up the mountain, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it's too popular these days. We've all seen the pictures, haven't we, of base camp on Everest being, piled with litter and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Well, on a much smaller scale, it's coming here. But the real danger, apparently, is not, rubbish and trash and litter being left all over the place. It's the number of people now who are doing it are wearing away the very fabric of the mountain.
Well, luckily, we've got a mountaineer to talk to. Mr. Doug Scott, CBE, who's been on the odd expedition with Sir Chris Bonington, notably up Mount Everest, amongst others. Doug, a very good afternoon to you.
Hello there, Mike.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Is this are ramblers getting as high as some of these mountain peaks and ruining them? Is that the problem?
Well, they are getting a bit worn out. Perhaps we shouldn't be talking about them, then people wouldn't go.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. People will go more and more. But, I mean, who made the famous expression, why do you climb mountains? Because they're there. Well, why do ramblers go rambling up mountains in this country? It's because they're there. You can't really stop people doing this. Why don't we just get somebody to invest some money in making sure that the pathways aren't getting worn out?
Well, it's an interesting job, fixing the footpaths. For instance, when you've got people like me with 2 new hips...
Yeah.
No, 1 new hip. 2 new knees, 1 new hip and a fused ankle.
Right.
When you're coming back downhill, it can be a bit tricky. And what you don't want are a lot of steps, artificial sort of steps, all the way down the mountainside.
Yeah.
So, because what you tend to do is avoid them and go on the grass and the soil to the side, which is not what the people who are repairing the footpaths really want.
Sure. But has there been a massive outbreak, Doug, of...
They really fit into the landscape and they're seated well, like the old sort of pack horse ways that go to the Peak District and that sort of thing.
But has there been a massive outbreak of activity up these mountains? I mean, we've seen a lot more cyclists since the Olympics in 2012. Have we seen more climbers out there for some reason? What's inspiring them?
Well, there's about 5 million people in this country that have a pair of boots rucksack that they use at least once a month.
Right.
And so, yes, it does the trick going out for a 2 or 3 hour walk, even with a dog, just down the road in the woods and across the fields. That's pretty good. But to go up into the Lake District here, say, or on Snowdonia, which we were talking about, I mean, it does lift your spirits just by being out there and especially if you get to the summit of something like Snowdon, or perhaps not Snowdon with a cap and everything, but other peaks.
Yeah.
You come back tired but energised with a glow on, and so there's no wonder so many people do it.
Sure. Doug, if you don't mind me saying, and with the greatest respect, these walks are not designed for people who are knackered like you, if you see what I mean.
He's climbed Everest, this guy.
I know he has, and I have immense respect for you, but I'm saying at a certain time, people have to give up these, hugely physical activities.
Why?
Well, because if your knees have gone and your ankle's gone and one of your hips has gone, what I'm saying is, Doug, the paths are designed for really able-bodied, younger, fitter people who want to take on the challenge, not yourself, who's done it all.
No, I should pack up, really. Yeah.
Well, no,
it's an outrageous thing to say.
No, it's not.
But surely, more importantly, though, Doug, as well, is that if you are going out into the great outdoors and you do scramble up Snowdon or you go up something called Ringing Roger in the Peak District, right? I mean, the worst thing you want to find at the top of that mountain is about 50 other people who've all just got there ahead of you.
Indeed.
Well, it's at one time you could always go out in the week and have it to yourself, but now there's so many people, retired and retiring early or just off work. It's There's very little time when the mountains aren't quite full.
I blame the fitness epidemic. There's far too many people who now think that they have to do something like that to keep fit. Therefore, these sort
there
of
are places there.
these pathways are now completely congested. Right?
Can you tell me, Doug, are there sort of gratuity boxes on these paths? You know, I mean,
gratuity boxes.
Well, Sir Chris Bonington is saying the public should make a contribution to the repair of them. So when you get to the top of the mountain, is there a box there where you can stick, 10 quid in or 20 quid or something like that in order to try?
Somebody would nick it, wouldn't they?
No, that's what I'm saying. The spirit of rambling, climbing, mountaineering, whatever you call it, can't that be done?
No, it's best to do this crowdfunding way. Just send your check in or go online and send it via the BMC.
Oh, that's a good idea. I see. And then who takes care of that money, and who then gets busy repairing things? Well,
most of the people you see repairing footpaths, if you are on the hillside and see it happening, are volunteers.
I see.
They're usually organised by some paid guy, environmentalist, well qualified. Because it is quite an art, as I was trying to say earlier.
Yeah.
To seat the footpath into the hillside so it looks natural. It looks like it's always been there.
No, I see what you mean, yeah. Do they have banisters? Do they have banisters?
It looks like a conveyor belt going up the hillside.
I see what you mean, yeah, like ropes and all that.
Well, no, you don't want banisters. Well, I've got a tweet here, Doug, which from Danny, who says the latest trend is hiking your mountain bike up Snowdon and then riding back down. Lots of riders are doing this.
What?
It's a great experience. So you might actually run the risk of being run over as well by a biker.
There is that. A bit like snowboarding on the ski slopes.
Yeah, right.
Is that right? Good, that's terrible. That's
well,
shocking.
listen, Doug, thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you very much indeed. And please, do not take offence to the fact that I said, Doug, that you're knackered. I mean, that's just a...
That was an outrageous thing to say.
It's just a physical observation.
Man's been honoured by the Queen, you know.
I know, and I have immense respect for the man. He's conquered the world, and I just want to...
Very interesting. It's a bit like being with Abbott and Costello or Laurel and Hardy.
That's very kind of you, thank you.
The teenagers,
we are serious broadcasters.
We are very serious. Doug, thank you very much indeed. Of course, if you want to try and find out how to help the crowdfunding of these places, you go to the British Mountaineering Council's website and you can send them some money if you wish.
Excellent. Now, listen, I want people to know that I wasn't in any way intending to be rude to Doug Scott's CBE, a mountaineering legend who's climbed mountains, Mr. Chris Bonington. But I did ask him the question as to why, when he's got 2 replacement knees, 1 replacement hip and a fused ankle, he still spends his time walking up and down things like Snowdon.
Because he's a mountaineer.
And the Brecon Beacons and Scaffold Pike.
Well, I mean, you go wandering about on the South Downs, or wherever it is, the Epsom Downs, right? And you've got technically only a third of your heart that works. You've got, what you might describe as not exactly the world's greatest physical shape.
Well, it's funny you should say that, but Pete has got right into the mode of things. I think he must be referring to the chap we spoke to the other day, the food critic.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, outrageous what Porky said to the mountaineer Doug. He should stick to abusing food critics. Sorry about that.
People have found it slightly ironic as well. Yeah. You've suggested that somebody's old and knackered. Alan says, when Porky tells you you're knackered, there's real cause for concern.
Yeah, and Manny has sent in an offensive one here. He says, Porky, the only climbing you do, pal, is out of the gutter after a long night of bladderation.
That's
like
true,
a drunken old tramp.
Freddie says...
That's very nice, isn't it?
I think Plankface Parry should make a hefty donation to the BMC after abusing old Doug. Sort it out with money again.
Well, I might do. I like contributing to things that keep our country great, and I think walking up and down mountains is a great thing to do. I've never done it myself.
Right.
There's I tell you where I'm going next.
You said you used to go up and down Snowdon when you were a kid.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Oh, so you have done it.
A bit of it. Yeah.
My dad used to take sort of expeditions off to the Cairn Gorms. He used to walk across the Cairn Gorms on a sort of a yearly basis. Yeah, took my mother with him once. Took my sister.
Yeah.
Asked me to go with him once. And I turned him down.
Why?
Well, I didn't fancy the idea. I don't like
sleeping. That's what I said. You just want a comfort zone. You do.
Well, I don't want to sleep in a tent.
Wouldn't you have slept in a what's they call them? The
bothies. Sometimes he would stay in bothies, but other times he would stay in tents. He came back once, right? He came back once, and his face was literally the size of a football.
Oh, right. Why? He's been on the whiskey?
Well, no, there's an awful lot of midges up there.
Oh, right.
What would happen is he'd come out of the tent in the morning, and you'd be literally, just attacked by this swarm of midges.
I know what you mean.
And it was horrendous. Actually, I didn't tell you. I went to the Enchanted Forest at the weekend down in Kent. Why are you singing?
Enchanted Forest.
No, it's what Enchanted Evening, actually.
Yeah, go on.
And there was a little boat that took you from one part of it down to the next bit.
What, the Enchanted Forest?
Yeah, Enchanted Forest.
It's got a lake in it?
Yeah, well, I had a canal, actually.
Oh, that's interesting. Where is this?
It's a stately home just south of Tunbridge Wells.
Oh, OK.
It was used, actually, as the location for the Pride and Prejudice movie.
Was it?
Keira Knightley, yeah.
Ooh.
So it's quite a sort of a beautiful place.
She's great.
She is, yeah.
Love her.
A lot of people do. And right as we were about to leave in the boat, we noticed there was a sign that said, bees.
Yes.
They had beehives there, right? And the guy told us that they'd had to move the beehive away from the site of the start of the boat because apparently sometime last year the bees all decided to swarm on everyone who was sitting in the boat.
Oh dear!
And people were jumping into the water to try and escape.
I'm not surprised. That would be terrible. Whenever I go down to the south coast, so I'm passing from the North Downs to the South Downs.
Yes.
I pass a sign which says Butser Hill.
Butser Hill, where's that?
Not Buster Hill, Butser, Butser.
Okay.
And you can see the people streaming up it, and it is like base camp on the Eiger, you know what I mean?
But that's the whole point, isn't the point? I mean, my dad used to say when he went to the King and Gordons, you would not see another soul.
Yeah, well...
literally for an entire week.
Well,
surely that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the point. I mean, if I was going to do that, you know what I'd do? I'd get some sort of a backpack, but not a rucksack. I don't want to become a rucksacker.
Well, all these rucksackers perhaps are the ones that you see on the trains. Maybe heading off to climb mountains.
I doubt it. And I'd go wandering around like Exmoor. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you don't see a soul anywhere.
Yeah, but even Exmoor's pretty busy now, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what. That's why
you can drive through it.
Yeah, but that's why I'm retiring to Northumberland.
There
are stretches.
When are you retiring?
I haven't made mind up yet.
Me.
There are stretches of beach in Northumberland which are 4 miles long, and apparently, according to my friends up there, at this time of the year, maybe a little bit earlier, and maybe October, November, you can walk the 4 miles with your dog and never see another human being. How about that?
Are you going to get a dog as well?
I'm going to get a dog. Yeah, I'm going to get a Labrador. Yeah,
quite right.
But I'm going to keep the Labrador fit and healthy because there's loads of stories around at the moment about Labradors being the fattest pets you can get.
That's because they don't stop eating unless you if you allow a Labrador to just eat all the time. That's what they do. They eat themselves to death.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, I know. They
very greedy.
Funny enough, my old colleague here, Sean, who used to have Chip, who was the dog.
Yes.
I made a terrible mistake because I loved Chip. It was a beautiful Labrador dog. But I didn't realise that Labradors adore people who give them food and don't really care about anything else.
Right.
So the minute I started...
Not the dog that was ill over Lord Sugar? Or was that
yes, so Lord Sugar's shoes, I'm afraid, when Lord Sugar came in here.
Yeah.
And that was because I'd given Chip too many...
treats.
Well, it was, these strips that you give them, these meaty strips.
Yeah, the things that are good for their teeth.
Well, no, that's the canine type thing that keeps your
canine.
Teeth. It's the dog equivalent of sort of, biting on a Mars bar to keep your teeth strong, you know what I mean?
No, it isn't.
No, a frozen Mars bar. I did often. I often bite on a frozen Mars bar or a frozen marathon.
You need to cut down on all that confectionery that you eat.
Yeah, to test your teeth. But anyway, the point of the story is...
Yeah, what is the point of the
once
story?
you start feeding a dog, then the dog loves you for life. But what happened was, Chip used to come in here. He was supposed to be trained as a guide dog.
Yeah.
The minute it saw me...
Well, it was a guide dog.
It was a guide dog, yeah. But the minute it saw me, it thought food. And he used to bolt over to see me. Now, my fear was always that Sean, who was his master, would be walking down one side of a road.
Yeah.
I come walking down the other. Chip sees me, thinks food, and might have dragged poor old Sean into the road.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But that never happened, did it?
No, fortunately it didn't. No, I made sure it didn't happen. But anyway, Butser Hill is this great hill that goes up like, obviously it goes up. It's a hill.
It goes up and down, presumably.
Well, on the other side. Yeah. And I've decided one of these days... Well, it
depends which side you go up, I suppose.
Well, it does, actually. And I've decided one of these days I am certainly going to explore that and get out there, OK?
Right. And have you seen people cycling down it as well? Because that's what
I haven't. No, that's a horrible
saying.
Story you said there. That should be instantly banned because somebody's going to get killed.
Well, the thing is, if you've got a mountain bike, right, surely the point of having a mountain bike is that you don't just ride around on the road. You ride in places where you can have mountain trails.
Mountain bikes are designed to be low-level assault course bikes, OK? Yeah. They're not designed to come from the top of a hill down to the bottom.
Well, I mean, presumably it's quite exhilarating. As old Doug said, it's a bit like downhill skiing.
Well... You say
at least if you're on a ski slope, you're expecting to see somebody coming relatively fast behind you, and you can get out of the way, and you're not really walking. You're going to be on skis as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you don't see a lot of people walking around, do you, on the Black Run?
You've never been skiing, have you?
I've told you twice.
When?
I went skiing when I was 15 and 16 with the school, the King's School Chester Skiing Club.
Oh, yeah.
We went to Interlaken, and then up the mountain to Wengen.
Wengen.
And then beyond there to Wengenalp.
Right.
And then
you done any training? You just went skiing?
Yeah, I did the training there, and then Clanscheidegg.
What?
Clanscheidegg.
Who's he?
Eh?
Who's that?
Clanscheidegg's a place.
Oh, is it?
It's a town.
Okay.
No, it's a skiing resort. Now, the point is, it was very close.
You can't just go skiing and suddenly learn how to do it. I mean, it takes you quite a long time to learn how to be proficient at all. It takes about a week.
Took me half an hour.
Half an hour?
Took me half an hour, honestly.
Any pictures?
Maybe my mother's got some in the family album. But in those days, you lifted up your left hand, and the ski length was from the wrist of your left hand to your foot.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore.
No, skis are much shorter now.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Absolutely.
So
now,
actually, they're easier to ski on.
Yeah, they're easier to ski on.
I went skiing a few years ago in America, where I hadn't been skiing for about 18 years.
Yes.
And the guy said to me, he said, "Well, you'll find it a lot easier now because in those days the skis were massive."
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And I was able to ski immediately.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I picked it up very quickly.
I never forgot it.
I picked it up very quickly. Now, point is, it was right on the side of the Eiger, right, the mountain.
Yes.
You know, what's that great film called?
The Eiger Sanction.
Eiger Sanction, that's the one, great. And there was a monastery around there somewhere.
So you claiming you skied down the Eiger now?
No, I didn't ski down the Eiger, I skied in the shadow of the Eiger, OK? And
the nursery slopes.
Yes, probably, yeah. And there was a monastery round there. And each evening, you know, when I wasn't into bladderation in those days, I was only 15. I wish I had been. I was into bladderation. No, actually, I was into bladderation,
right,
but only in England. They didn't. They sort of frowned on it in.
Really?
Yeah, in case you were.
A bit easier in Europe, isn't it?
Well, not in that place. Couldn't get any booze.
Think of time, by the way.
Anyway, I was going to say to you every evening as we went to the refectory, you know, to dine.
Yeah.
On good Swedish food.
Swiss food.
Swiss food.
Swedish food.
I don't know, good Swiss food. We'd hear this haunting noise.
Yeah. Well, the Alpenhorn.
No, it was a load of monks. There was a monastery nearby.
Right. Oh, okay.
And these monks used to sing as they went to evening tide, as they were walking down the... what's it called? The choristers. What's it called?
I don't know.
In a
monastery.
Yeah, in a monastery. Cloisters, the cloisters, that's right. As they went and cloisters, singing things like, you know, I love my God.
Well, that's quite soothing, isn't it?
It was actually quite soothing. It's quite mysterious.
It's not soothing when you do it, though.
It's quite mysterious. I wanted to go and find the monastery and have a look and see what it was all about, but you weren't allowed to go in.
Oh, really?
It was closed one. And by the way, it was...
There's a monk that's been doing all sorts of things like that in Thailand, I think, for Leicester.
Yeah, you know, that's great. Yeah, it's a good idea. We should give him a call and see if he wants to talk to us. And what I was going to say was... What I was going to say was that...
we haven't got time for this
No,
now.
this order of monks had a vow of silence. They never spoke to each other for 3 years.
Well, how come they were singing?
Well,
how can you have a vow of silence?
They sing to God. They can only communicate with God.
No, it's not a vow of silence.
It is, yeah. No. A vow of silence means...
That's enough.
What about Butlins? See, I think Butlins is great.
What about Butlins?
Well, Butlins...
What's that going to do with anything?
Well,
you don't sleep in a tent at Butlins, do you?
No.
It's like a chalet or something.
I don't think there's chalets anymore. I think they're hotels now. But you know, down in Bognor Regis...
No, I don't.
In Bognor Regis, there's a Butlins.
I haven't been to Bognor Regis for a while.
Bognor Regis on the coast. It's near you.
It's not that near.
It is.
No, it
is.
Where is Bognor Regis? Is it into East Sussex?
Yes, it goes straight down to the coast and it's there.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Now, what I was going to talk to you about was this. The actor Tom Conti, right? Tom Conti.
Conti.
C-O-N-T-I.
Not Johnny Conti.
Not Johnny Conti, he's a boxer.
Yeah.
Now, what's his most famous film? Is it Shirley Valentine?
Probably.
Yeah, OK, there you go. Now, he bought a house for £159,000 in 1988.
Yeah, in Hampstead Garden suburb.
Exactly, very much your sort of territory.
Very much my old style. I used to cycle around there as a child.
What did you used to cycle around for?
Well, because I used to go on my bike across Hampstead Heath, and you'd end up from where I lived, West Heath, over into Hampstead Garden suburb near Golders Green, cycle back over the Heath. It was great.
Did you pass what is now Boy George's house?
I didn't usually. No, Boy George is East Heath.
Is that opposite the Spaniards?
No, he's further down East Heath Road.
Oh, is he? Okay, yeah. Anyway, look, the point of my story...
used to have no furniture in there because he sold it all off.
Who?
Boy George. In the dark days.
What are you on about?
When he was a heroin addict, he sold all his furniture off.
Why?
Because he needed the money to buy heroin. Yeah.
That sounds very drastic. Hey, listen, the point of the story is...
What is the point?
It's a brilliant house. I've seen a picture of it, and he paid $165,000 for it in 1985, right? Yeah. But it's worth, maybe...
It's worth $15 million now.
I was going to say, it's worth more than 10 times that now. Now, the point is that what he objects to are his neighbours getting out, leaf blowers. Right?
Yes.
And I totally agree. And what he wants to do is he wants, some sort of bylaw or something like that to stop these people making this terrible noise using a machine.
But the trouble is you can't do that during the day, can you? Because, people make all sorts of horrible noises during the day, and as long as it's within what they would call sociable hours, that's fine. Yeah. I mean, when we're working at night and trying to sleep during the day, you wouldn't believe the kind of rackets that go on out there.
Well, he told the Times today, Tom Conti, it's not a case of it being a rich person's problem and poor people aren't affected. Anybody with ears is affected. There are judges and lawyers who live around here. Many people. with ears, yeah. And many people who work from home, I write and I work from home. It's a terrible noise, and as soon as it begins, the rage starts. It's not very helpful for the creative juices inside my body. It's like having a motorcycle in the room, and I totally agree. But my main objection against the leaf blowing is not necessarily the noise, which is dreadful, by the way. It is like having a motorbike outside your window.
There's lots of horrible noises during the day, isn't there?
No, this is an unnecessary one. This is the point I'm going to make. It is so totally unnecessary. Do you know what a leaf blower does? A blower
blows leaves.
Well, yeah, but where does he blow them to?
Just wherever you want to blow them to, I suppose.
And then somebody else comes out and blows them back, right?
The idea is, I understand, to blow them into a pile.
No.
And you then take the pile and bag them all up into a black bag.
That never happens.
What's the point of doing it otherwise?
Well, there is no point to it. That's what I'm saying. It is the most pointless noise assault on your ears in the history of man.
They are quite noisy. Strimmers are very noisy as well, though.
Strimmers have a purpose. They tailor the edge of a lawn or the edge of a piece of greenery.
But they're very noisy.
Well, it doesn't matter. They have a purpose. The leaf blower has no purpose. It is the most useless machine that's ever been invented.
Yeah, but is he likely to then want to complain about somebody using an electric lawnmower? Is he going to complain about somebody using a strimmer?
No, the point he's making is...
No, if you live in the centre of London or wherever you live and you have neighbours, you just have to put up with a certain amount of noise. It's just the way it goes.
You don't.
It's like if you live in a block of flats, sometimes the people above you or below you make noise. You have to put up with it.
Right, this is the equivalent to a bloke going down the street with a chainsaw and starting his chainsaw and then letting it run for 10 minutes and then switching it off.
Well, sometimes you hear that as well.
Pointless.
Do you know what I was awoken by this morning?
What?
There's the people who live opposite me are all having their doors replaced for some reason, right? The council have decided to replace all their doors. Yeah. So all you hear is this, a guy hammering like that and then stopping and then hammering.
What time is
and
this?
And then stopping. It started about 8 o'clock.
Well, blimey, I get up at 4:30. I don't have any objection whatsoever to the working man getting on and starting his job at 8 o'clock. In fact, I commend it.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and then he was drilling every 5 minutes.
Yeah, good.
So it's a very annoying noise, but I didn't complain about it because you have to get used to it.
The leaf blower, my point about this is, it is the most pointless exercise in man. Whoever invented the leaf blowing machine has made himself 10 million quid. He's a very clever guy.
Yeah.
Because he said, look, we can blow those leaves away for you. Oh, thanks very much. I'll get somebody round to do it. Get around. Where'd you blow them? You blow them to next door's garden. What do they do?
Well, you don't do that.
They do.
Antisocial.
They do. They then come out and blow them back into your garden, right?
Well, somebody said...
Blow them up the street, blow them into somebody else's, underneath somebody's car. It's pathetic.
But as somebody said to Tom Conti,
and ridiculous.
If you don't like the noise, why don't you just go to the back of your enormous house and you won't hear it?
You will. You hear it everywhere. It's such a loud noise. But it's such a pointless exercise.
You're always moaning about something.
Leaf blowers should be leaf suckers, and they should suck leaves up and mulch them up into something you can then use as an agricultural product.
Well, like a leaf hoover.
Yes, that's right, to make grass or something like that.
Why don't you invent something like that?
Well, it should be invented.
Why don't
it should be
talk
invented.
to Dyson about it?
Dyson? Yeah, he's a very rich man. Do you see him in the Sunday Times?
Never mind how rich he is.
He's got about £1.5 billion quid.
Well, why don't you go and suggest a leaf sucker
to him? That's for inventing a few things,
Why don't you tell him you want to patent a leaf sucker?
You ever used his blade hand dryer?
What?
The blade hand dryer.
Why are you making a noise, like a Michael Jackson video type dance?
Like a Tommy Cooper, just like that.
Yeah.
You put your hands in, and this very sort of fierce jet stream.
Dries your hands.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's good.
Great.
£1.5 billion quid. If I'd invented that, I could have invented that.
Is that what you call excitement for you these days?
No, it's not.
But Dyson hand dryer.
I mean, I've got a Dyson Hoover.
Look at the time.
You want to see how much?
It's not a Dyson Hoover. It's a Dyson.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, it gets the fluff up off my carpet.
Yeah, excellent.
Lots of it, by the way.
Never mind.
I have to empty it every now and then.
Yeah, of course you do. I thought your housekeeper did all that. Phil says, here, Porky, great idea about the leaf hoover. However, someone says, by the way, I own a leaf blower, which has another feature called a garden vac. How amazing. So apparently he already does have the sucking
Well,
technology.
Alan says the same here. Some leaf blowers can also be used to suck, but do not always pick up effectively in damp conditions. Well, okay. Well, then suck it up and take them away. I just don't understand.
But it will still make the same noise.
Eh?
It will still make the same noise.
No, it won't. It won't, because you need more power to put that sort of blast of air down the tube than you do to suck it up.
Not true.
You do. I know that for a fact.
Anyway, we'll be talking about some scientific developments in the world, of course, of technology, because Matthew Avery's with us. He's head of research at Thatcham's, which is the sort of technological research arm of the road safety business and insurance companies and all of that.
That's right.
Because we keep reading more and more about driverless cars coming in. And more cars at the moment have got things where you can turn, it parks the car for you, it turns the wheel for you, all that sort of stuff. We'll ask Matthew whether he agrees with some of the comments that have come in recent days that actually this might be a bit difficult if you're driving at 100 miles an hour down a motorway. Matthew, very good afternoon to you.
Hi there.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Driverless cars, I know, are going to be here sort of faster than we think. You know, Google are testing them. They're testing cars out in the States all the time. They're testing them here as well. Volvo are talking about doing some kind of trial in London. But we've already got some cars that do these things, as I was just describing, like parking for you and turning corners for you. How far away, sort of realistically, are we from the first proper driverless car?
Well, you're right. I mean, what people call autonomous cars, they are just round the corner. In about 2021, you're going to be able to get in a car and drive that car. But when you get onto the motorway, you're going to be able to push the button and it's going to be able to drive for you. So that's going to let you do something else. That's going to let you watch a film or read a book or do something else. It's not until 2021 when the driver is going to be able to come what we call out of the loop, so he's not involved. Up to that point, the driver's still liable. So you're right, there is technology on vehicles that you can buy today, and there's going to be a big change of vehicles in about 2018 when on the motorway you'll be able to take your hands off the wheel for a few minutes at a time. But still, the important thing is the driver's still liable. The driver's still responsible for driving. So not until 2021 you can come out of the loop.
This is absolutely incredible. It really is, Matthew. And can I put this comparison to you? If an airline passenger was sitting in the cabin of an airliner in 1952 and there was a guy in a uniform standing next to him and suddenly the passenger said, "What's your job?" And the guy in the uniform said, "Oh, I'm the pilot." Yeah. And the passenger said, "What do you mean you're the pilot? Who's flying this plane?" He said, "It's not an automatic pilot." You'd get the screaming abdabs, wouldn't you? And start running up and down the plane screaming, "Ah! Ah!" Is this...
What are the screaming abdabs?
Well, you know what I mean. Is this the land...
Sorry about this, Matthew.
Is this the landlocked equivalent of that, if you see what I mean?
Well, sort of, but bear in mind, a lot of vehicles now have got a lot of the sensors that make this stuff work. So you've been able to buy cars for a few years with something we call AEB, Autonomous Emergency Braking. And we want people to go buy cars with that stuff on. Because the great thing about that is that gives you a radar sensor or something at the front of your car, an eye that's always looking. So most crashes, about 80% of crashes, happen actually about 20 miles an hour. You run into the back of somebody, at the traffic lights on the island. And this is going to stop that. And this stops the sort of whiplash injuries, and this stops those minor fender benders that create all that congestion running through our big cities. So this technology is already on the vehicles now. And if people want to start getting a taste of that technology, you want to buy a car with AEB.
But
presumably also we'll have we'll have a situation that we have now where, yes, there are lots. I mean, I think your car, Porky's got that braking system, hasn't it? But most cars on the road are not new cars. So you'd have, Matthew, presumably a situation on a motorway where maybe 10% of the cars were driving themselves and everybody else was just doing what they normally do.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the fleet turnover, as we call it, takes about 15 years, so it takes a long time to get big penetrations of these vehicles in the fleet. But, there is going to get the time when you've got the haves and the have-nots because, in sort of 2021 onwards, you're going to be able to get on the motorway and go and watch catch-up TV. So your commute to work, if you've got an hour-long commute in heavy traffic into work, suddenly that's going to be attractive to you. You're going to be able to catch up on TV or catch up on emails while the guy next to you is going to have to sit in the traffic and drive.
Yeah. But is that going to be realistic if you're speeding down a motorway? Because, I mean, I'm not sure, and it may just be because I'm not perhaps ready to embrace the technology. But, I think if the car was doing 100 miles an hour, rather like if I'm being driven by somebody...
Well, you shouldn't be doing 100 miles an hour.
Well, whatever the speed is, 70 miles an hour then, all right? Yes. Or 80 if they put the speed up. I mean, I can't really concentrate on much else because I'm slightly worried about what else is going on around me.
I was going to ask you, Matthew,
I'm asking Matthew's question.
Yeah, and I'm trying to qualify your question. Are psychologists involved in the human instinct?
They should get involved with you. That's what they should get involved in.
You can't see out the front of a jumbo jet airliner when it's on automatic pilot, so you don't know what's in front of you. But you know full well what's around you and in front of you in a car. So have you had psychiatric sort of tests on these people?
Well, look, we've done a lot of testing of what we call the human-machine interface. How do people interact with cars? These radar sensors have got a visibility today of about 250 metres. The best radars you can buy today can actually see through 2 or 3 cars in front to see cars in front of that to see what they're doing. So the vehicles have already got really sophisticated sensors on them now to keep you safe. And that's why we're seeing a 40% reduction in some crashes with these systems. That's today. That's not 2018 or 2021. And it's only going to get better. So these sensors... Now, what you are saying is these cars are all going to stick to the limit. They're going to stick to the law and abide by the law very, very tightly. And therefore, they're going to be quite cautious and very polite. But the argument is, if you're watching catch-up TV, you don't really care. As long as you keep safe, you don't care that the guy's jumping in front of you, whatever.
Well, I think I would be. I'd want to be aware of what was around me. I mean, presumably the other thing, Matthew, because there's pressure on all sorts of bodies now to kind of reduce the amount of cars in city centres, then these cars would also drive, as you say, at a very, very low speed inside city centres.
20 miles an hour.
And it would take you forever to get everywhere, wouldn't it?
Well, they're going to stick to the speed limit, but bear in mind there's a lot of studies that said if everybody's doing the same speed, then the traffic moves much more efficiently. So on busy traffic you can be doing 70 miles an hour and then suddenly you have to do 30 miles an hour, and that's because all the traffic's moving in waves and doing different speeds. It's much more efficient and actually much better for the environment if all cars are doing the sort of same regulated speed.
Okay.
I know it's boring, but it's much safer and it's much better for the environment.
Okay.
Matthew, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed. Matthew Avery, Head of Research at Thatchams. Like a bit of guitar music, do you there, Porky?
No, who was that?
Who do you think it might be?
That sounded...
A wild guess.
Yeah, that sounds to me like Santana.
Did it?
Yes.
Nothing like Santana.
It is like Santana. Who is it then?
It's Larry Kravitz.
Larry Kravitz?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a guitar player, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Excellent, well done. What else has he done?
Lenny Kravitz.
Hey?
It's Lenny Kravitz.
Lenny Kravitz. Has he made any famous records?
Yeah, well, that's pretty famous.
What's that called?
I don't know.
Well, it's not that famous, then, is it?
It's a pretty famous record.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, he has done quite a lot.
I'm sure he's a very commendable musician,
he
but
is.
Of very little interest to me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I don't suppose you've got his greatest hits then.
No, I haven't got. No.
Never mind.
I've got a new copy of ABBA's greatest hits because the old one was wearing out.
Really?
Play it regularly. Yeah.
How awful! I just imagine you mincing around in your penthouse.
What?
To ABBA?
Sorry, what do you mean mincing?
Well,
what
because
sort
you mince
of word
to ABBA,
is that?
don't you? You don't really dance to ABBA, do you?
No,
You've got to mince around to ABBA.
No.
Do you dance around the flat?
No, I don't. I have it on whilst I'm doing other things.
Are you going to tell us about this pigeon incident, by the way?
Oh, that's terrible. So what happened was...
So you bought this bird bath a few weeks ago.
Bought the bird bath, right?
And you put an Everton gnome in it.
I put an Everton gnome in it.
Seemed to be acting more like a scarecrow because none of the birds were actually coming in.
Well, they weren't. Now, what happened was the other night I heard a flutter.
Yeah.
So I looked out of the kitchen window into the roof garden.
Yeah.
And a pigeon had landed on the rail next to the bird bath and was pecking away at my bird food.
Oh, I thought you put water in it.
I have put water in it.
Well, what was the food then?
Well, the food is in like a little bag attached to the wall next to the bird bath.
Oh, so you've got a bird feeder as well?
Yeah, bird feeder, that's right, that's what it's called, yeah.
Is it in like a mesh sort of cylinder?
No, it's not actually. It's in more like what you would call a sort of crate, you know. But
crate?
Yeah, and it's got, and it's not little bird food bits, it's got like tennis ball type things in it.
Oh, right.
I don't know what they are, but anyway, the birds like it. They start eating it, you know. Right. Anyway.
But if it's open, then you'll get all sorts of other animals in there, won't you? Like rats.
Well, no.
Squirrels.
No, it's high up of the ground, you see, so they can't.
Rats can climb.
Yeah, I don't have rats. There are no rats around where I live.
Of course there are. There are rats everywhere.
You don't get rats in penthouses, you fool. That's why I don't live on the ground.
In every street around here.
I don't wish to know.
There are rats no more than 7 metres away from you at any one point, I think.
Yeah, everybody says that. You never see one. Right, now then, let me tell you this. So, anyway, what happened was, there I was last night, you know, going about my business, sorting things out, you know, putting together some material for today's show, all that kind of stuff. I heard this tremendous crashing noise.
Putting together material?
Yes.
Like what?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, you mean you've actually practiced some of the stuff you've come out with?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. You are, honestly, a complete and utter intellectual oaf sometimes. Anyway, so I hear this crashing noise, and guess what happens?
I don't know. I can't imagine.
The bird bath crashes to the ground.
Oh, right, they knocked it over?
Yeah. Because what happened was 2 pigeons landed on the same side of it at the same time, both intending water, and their weight, bang! It collapsed the bird bath, smashed all over the place. I had to go out and repair it and put it back. But what I'm worried about is this. And I said this to the aviary person that I consulted before I bought my bird bath.
Aviary person,
yeah. Yeah, they're not an aviator, by the way. They're an aviator's a flyer. The aviary person.
Yeah.
And I said, look, we do get a few pigeons round here. I said, they nest on the top of the building, on the peak of the building, all that kind of stuff, and they can be sometimes a bit of a nuisance. I said, what I really want to know is how come I can make my bird bath available to little thrushes, starlings,
sparrows,
robins.
Yeah.
By the way, robins are around all year round, don't you? They don't just come around in winter,
No, I know that.
And they're not red breasts, they're orange breasts.
Well, it depends.
No, they're orange. Anyway, so I said to the guy, look, how can I make sure this bath is for those little birds, those attractive little birds, who one day will leap off the bird bath onto my index finger and,
So you'll be like one of those cartoon characters?
No, I'd be like the Birdman of Alcatraz, really, if you see what I mean. And he said, you'll find that the pigeons won't be attracted either to the water or to the food that you put out because they have other sources and they don't need it,
What were they doing crashing into your bird bath?
Well, I don't know. This is what I can't work out. I'm going to ring him up.
Maybe they'd lost their homing device inside their brains.
Maybe.
You talked about that in the past.
But I'm going to ring him up. I'm going to ring him up and find out why he gave me a load of bum advice about how to nurture the bird population. Because
it's very difficult, isn't it?
Well,
as long as you don't get seagulls, you certainly won't want those.
No, I guess seagulls down on the coast, of course, because that's where seagulls live.
Yeah, but they live all over the place as well.
You don't get it. You don't get them in downtown Stockbroker Belt, Surrey. Believe me. Oh, certain. But I would like to try and find out how you make this distinction between what I call domestic birds and the filth, which is the pigeons.
Yeah,
you know
the
what
flying
I mean?
rats.
The flying rats.
That's what used to call them. Now, a couple of people have texted in on the subject of these driverless cars.
Oh, yes.
Rich in Essex says, my wagon has a device that can see a mile down the road in heavy traffic.
What?
A mile down the road in heavy traffic.
I couldn't get what the expert was telling us about the car having a sensor that can see 3 cars in front. Does that mean when the car 3 cars in front crashes, you automatically stop?
Well, I suppose it means that it can see what the car 3 cars in front is doing.
Yeah.
Like, is it slowing down?
Yeah.
Is it turning left?
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Sure. I tell you
I'm
what...
still not very confident about these cars that drive themselves.
Well,
and Phil says this, AEB doesn't work properly in bright sunshine and doesn't recognise problems. We will have more crashes in practice.
What's AEB?
That's the technology I think he was talking about.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
The sensory type stuff.
No, I mean, the point is, in my new Merc, right, it's a very expensive car, obviously.
Very expensive, yeah.
Not only
man of the people.
The first time I was going down to the coast, all of a sudden, this big red triangle light came up on my computer. And I thought, what is that?
If it's red, that's a problem.
Well, of course it is.
If it's orange, it's not too bad.
No, it's red. It was a red triangle light. And I thought, have I got a Friday afternoon car here?
Yeah.
But Mercedes don't make Friday afternoon cars.
What do you mean, what's a Friday afternoon car?
It's Friday afternoon cars traditionally were cars that break down all the time.
Really?
Because it came to the end of the working week and the lads knocked off early and didn't put all the necessary bolts on and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
So
that's sort of going back to the old days of British Leyland.
Well, actually, Vauxhall's Nelsmere Port, because that's where a lot of my mates' dads work.
Okay.
They were always on strike.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the British car industry.
It was, yeah.
They were always on strike.
Yeah.
But they got a discount Vauxhall Viva. And my mate had a...
as long as it wasn't built on a Friday.
As long as it wasn't built on a Friday afternoon, you're right. My mate's dad had this fantastic white Vauxhall Viva with a black vinyl roof.
Yeah.
What a head turner that was.
Really?
For want of a better word.
In those days, I'm sure.
In those days, yeah. But anyway, the point of the story is... I thought, what is this? And without even flinching, I managed to get hold of the instruction booklet from my glove compartment whilst I was still driving.
That doesn't sound very safe.
No, well, I'm a multitasker.
You should admit to that.
Multitasker, and I managed to...
I thought you'd said in the past you always have to have 2 hands on the steering wheel.
Well, you should, ideally, but this was okay. So, anyway, I flicked through with my left hand using my my thumb and index fingers.
I'm not sure you should be admitting to this.
No,
you're still driving.
Anyway,
you didn't pull over and do that.
No, I found... well, there was nowhere to pull over, on motorways and all that. So, I found out that this was...
So you're on a motorway?
No, I was on the A3.
Right.
A3M, actually. It was a motorway, yeah. So I found out that this was a warning light that you were too close to the car in front.
Oh, right.
Now, that's all right.
So while you were too close to the car in front, you reached over to the glove box, took out the instruction manual, had a look at that.
That's right.
And did you get any closer to the car in front while you were doing that?
No, but this is the interesting thing. I then decided, right, I will put more distance between me and the car in front. guess what happened then?
Yeah, you were too close to the car behind.
Yeah, exactly. Another red flashing light went off to indicate.
It's a never-ending dilemma, isn't it?
And a beep, beep,
Why don't you just pull into the slow lane, let them all pass you?
And that indicated that you were being tailgated.
Yes.
Now, I can't stand being tailgated.
No, it's not
if anybody
pleasant.
does it to me, I do one of two things. Either switch on my lights so that the back lights on your car come on and the driver behind you thinks you've just braked, but you haven't.
But it doesn't work anymore because if you've got a brake light at the top end of the windscreen,
I see,
then they can tell that you're not actually braking. Because that's such an old trick that nobody falls for it anymore.
That's good thinking, because I have got one of those.
Yeah.
Or the other thing I sometimes do is I wait until the half-bake who's driving the car behind me gets to, like, a roundabout or something, or a slow part of the car. Yeah. And then the minute I see, Virgin Road ahead of me, okay, I then...
Which you don't see very much of in this part of the
You don't
world.
see very much of it, but I taunt him by slowing down to about 30 or 40 miles an hour to get him very frustrated until he's waving his arms around and making rude gestures and all that. And then I put my foot down on the accelerator of a 3.5-litre Mercedes, and that guy doesn't see me for dust.
Really?
Right? I have gone like...
You're boasting again.
Sorry?
You're just boasting again.
No, this is my driving tactic.
Yeah.
This is my driving tactic.
Sounds dangerous to me.
It's not dangerous. It's not dangerous. It's very safe, actually, to get out of the way of the guy behind if he's trying to tailgate you, okay?
Oh, okay.
And that works every time.
Does it?
They never come near you again because they don't want to be humiliated.
Well, this is where I wonder where this road rage is going to work. If you've got somebody in a car who's sitting there, as that guy was saying earlier, catching up on the television, and there's nobody apparently driving it, it's going to create an awful lot of confusion over this.
Well, maybe.